One, two, one, two. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I trust you have all enjoyed your lunch, that everybody is feeling re-energized as we begin the afternoon program. I kindly ask everybody to take their seats as we begin to resume our afternoon program. Ladies and gentlemen, may we please all be seated and continue the conversations after this program. May I kindly ask all of us to take our seats, please. There's still a bit of movement at the back. Thank you all. We welcome all the guests joining us this afternoon and thank those who've been with us since the morning. Let's please all take our seats as we begin this afternoon program. Now, to all those who've been with us since this morning, welcome back, and to those who are just joining us for this afternoon session, a very warm welcome to the 2026 Non-Revenue Water Management Conference, proudly organized by the Water and Sanitation Providers Association, WASPA. We are particularly delighted this afternoon to welcome many representatives from county governments as well as development partners. We thank you all for being with us. We also extend our sincere appreciation to our platinum sponsors, the Acumen Group, for making this conference possible. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's please take our seats as we begin the afternoon program. Now, this morning, we explored the politics, the governance frameworks, and technologies that are helping utilities tackle non-revenue water. But good ideas don't implement themselves, ladies and gentlemen. They require investment, they require financing, they require multi-sectoral approaches. And that is what brings us to our next session this afternoon, a timely conversation as we talk about how to mobilize the resources needed to modernize our utilities and accelerate non-revenue water reduction. Our high-level panel this afternoon is themed Innovative Financing, Public-Private Partnerships, Performance Improvement Plans, Blended Finance, and Green Bonds for Non-Revenue Water Reduction. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still standing, we please ask you to take your seats. If you are still holding a conversation, I kindly ask that we leave that for later as well. I can see everybody is also feeling quite hot. We have requested that the AC issue be sorted. Now, like I was saying, our high-level panel this afternoon is themed around innovative financing, public-private partnerships, performance improvement plans, blended finance, and green bonds for non-revenue water reduction. It all sounds very technical. But to set the stage, it is my pleasure to invite a leader who has worked extensively with government, utilities, and development partners to strengthen Kenya's water sector. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Pascaline Wanjiku to set the tone for this high-level conversation.
I think I should let the guests just get in and settle.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome our guests with a round of applause, please.
Okay. Honorable guests, to be very careful, I will not try to name because I do not know everyone who has entered. So all excellencies and honorables and all guests who are in the room, and our most important ones, the water services providers, good afternoon. Good. I'm happy to be standing here this afternoon in this conference. I think it is it is a timely period to be discussing, to be having this discussion. Just last week, we had the impact report done by WASREB launched, and I think it has some very familiar numbers, which we have been made to kind of memorize. I think the 48% is the one we all now know. We cannot forget that we are losing 48% of the water produced in the country. I will try to be very fast, and let me make a disclaimer that we were supposed to be two of us making these keynote speeches. So, and one of us couldn't make it. So I promise that you will not see a single formula, because the formulas, you missed it, our guests. We had very good formulas done by Engineer Lima in the morning. So mine will just be a dialogue and a very easy conversation. And my job is really to set the tone for the panelists that will be coming here to do the difficult discussions on the innovative financing and PPPs and blending and all that. So you might not see all that jargon and the big languages in my presentation. Mine is really just to trigger a conversation, and hopefully by the end of it and by the end of this panel, we can come out of here having a great idea of how do we want to move next. Let me also say that I do not think this conference will be telling us things that we do not know. So I hope that Mr. Njaramba, one of the big outcomes of this conference, will be consolidating all the things that we know into action. We are very familiar with this kind of pictures. These ones are coming from all around the globe. One of them I know is from Kenya. Your guess can be as good as mine. I will not spend a lot of time on this because, again, we have seen these numbers on the amount of money that we are losing out of non-revenue water. By now, everyone, even the people who are not in the sector, I believe are very familiar on what non-revenue water is. You produce water, you even treat it, but you don't get the revenue out of it. The fonts are like these on purpose, so that you listen to me instead of reading the presentation. So this is done by design. So who should be responsible for non-revenue water reduction anyway? I mean, we already know that there's a problem, and we have some solutions presented to us. I think the CS was it already last week, made a very serious, I don't know whether it's an allegation or it's a true comment, that there's someone in a utility that did not know what their non-revenue water is. I mean, the message here is that, first, the utility is the one that is losing the water, or for us, it's the WSP. In other countries, it can be a municipality, or it can be whichever the water agency is. It is the business of everyone to reduce non-revenue water. Be it you in admin, or in finance, or in commercial, everyone should, in the first place, know their non-revenue water and have an intention to tackle that. But then when something is everyone's business, you don't get it done. I think we had earlier in the morning, and why the non-revenue reduction team there is canceled into revenue water team, we had some WSP say we already have, and maybe it's even been overemphasized on having non-revenue water teams. I think the problem is not having the units and the teams. The problem is whether those teams are doing the job. Do they have KPIs? Do they have anything that they're working on? Or are we just saying globally that the utilities non-revenue water is 48%, and we want to improve it by 32% in the next year? Trust me, when this is the approach, you will not get anywhere. You need to start by that team being established, but also that they are responsible for taking action, and someone is holding them accountable. I had a look at what we have done as World Bank around the world in terms of tackling non-revenue water. At least 6 approaches have been used. From physical network rehabilitation, including pipe replacement, connection upgrades, and meter installations in countries like Vietnam, even China, Jordan, district metered areas in Brazil, Turkey, Uruguay. Performance-based contracts, which is very interesting, where private contractors are paid for water saved, not for inputs. In cities like Ho Chi Minh City, Cote d'Ivoire, and more recently, I think we had Mr. Willis mentioning about Kenya. We have pressure and SCADA control where, the focus on real-time monitoring on countries like Jordan and Turkey, and then commercial loss reduction where you deal on meters and billing fixes and regularizing illegal connections. Again, you see Uruguay and China there, and then institutional strengthening, dedicated NRW units and training and performance governance. Again, you will see a few countries are have tried different things. This is to say there's no one size that fits all. It really depends on the starting point of the utility and what they want to achieve. What have the results looked like? Again, just to take a few examples, you see in Vietnam and in China, you had non-revenue water reducing by about half, from 64% to about 31 and 33%, whereas Armenia and Guinea-Bissau had a much more modest reduction than the two. I will not read everything there on what led into these results. There's more details, and by the way, it's also publicly available, these case studies. But one main message is that non-revenue water performance-based contracts are about almost 70% more effective than utility rate programs. I say this with a lot of humility, with a lot of respect to our utilities, but this is the fact. We have people who are in the everyday business of identifying what is the newest technology, what is the newest way we can reduce non-revenue water. And utilities might not be in doing that business every day. So, and performance-based contracts is not privatization. We can have that conversation, and hopefully it will come up in this conference. We are not saying privatization. We are not saying cede what, providing your services. All we are saying is invite people who have the expertise to support you, and you have the control, actually. Sorry that this is very tiny text. Back home in Kenya, we have had a number of programs in Kenya. The first, maybe it's not the first, it was like a comeback in 2004, 2008, after the water sector reforms. I'm sure Engineer Alima, you have all this history. We had this program that we were calling Nairobi Restructuring Program. It focused on fixing governance and institutional reforms for Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company. So results were driven by commercial loss reduction. What you will notice, and sorry again, you can't see those numbers very well, that non-revenue water reduced from a baseline of 50% to 41% in those 4 years. Then we took the next step. We said there is a huge gap, infrastructure gap. So we designed the next program. I think this is a very famous program. A lot of you Kenyans will know it, the Water and Sanitation Improvement Services Improvement Project, WASIP, which covered a number of you. I know a number of MDs, Dhika, Eldoas, Nairobi was also big on this one. A number of you are supported by this program. So it was the first large-scale water project. Non-revenue water was a component or even a sub-component. There was a lot of technical support, a lot of purchasing of leak detection and meters and all those kind of things. You will notice that despite a lot of financing, I have had a number of speakers say that our biggest problem is financing. Despite a lot of financing, there was a very modest reduction in non-revenue water from 46% to 39%. We did not even hit our target of 35%, yet the money was available. So we went to the next program. The idea was to try and learn from each of these programs. The Water and Sanitation Development Project started in 2017. It has really prolonged because of a few things, including COVID, and it's ending in October. It had, we started off with a baseline of 50%. You can see a lot of, the baseline was also very high. From 50%, and in the WSPs that are covered, we are now at 45%. I must say this is a little bit better because it had shot back to 50% after COVID. Now we are, from the last impact, is 45%. What this project did, it opened up a dedicated non-revenue water window. even introduced performance-based contracting. Also, when we had to respond to COVID, we decided that the response is not going, WSPs needed money injected to them. But then we agreed that it was not going to be free money. So you must have heard in Mr. Willis from WSTF talking about conditional liquidity support grant. This was our first attempt to introduce performance-based financing. We had Eldoa's MD tell us that, that he has met his goal. It measures the second part of it. There was the first part of it and the second part of it. The second part of it is looking at OCCR, the operating cost recovery ratio, because this is the best measure of the health of a utility. So Eldoas told us they have surpassed their target by many percentages, which is very good to hear. Still, as part of that program, we also introduced specific support for performance-based contracts. We also had that Nanyuki and Naivasha. Governor, good to see you. Nanyuki and Naivasha are very progressed in procuring performance-based contracts for reducing non-revenue water. I wish you were in the K-WASH program because I would give you full support for that. We would want the K-WASH WSPs to learn from that approach. So then comes the famous K-WASH. So K-WASH now goes full-blown, decides all these mechanisms of putting money on the table and giving money for meters, smart meters. Eldoas MD told us, and for sure, under WASIP, Eldoas was one of the good performers. Their non-revenue water was at about 10%. I don't know what it is at now. Now we have heard that there will be improvement with the smart metering. So now we are giving the control to the WSPs. You know where the shoe hurts the most. You know the approaches, and if you do not know them, you can actually invite experts to come and work with you. That is basically what K-WASH is doing. I must say that a lot of K-WASH is a big program, but we have a specific component supporting improvement of financial performance of a total of 33 WSPs. So the main message or the main feedback that we have as World Bank from our engagement in Kenya Water on non-revenue water reduction is that non-revenue water treated as a sub-component in a large infrastructure program always consistently underperforms. What we really need is sustained performance-linked financing. That is why you will see that we are now pivoting more to results-based financing and performance-based contracts. I hope I still have a few minutes to talk about K-WASH. Otherwise, I will rush through very quickly. Again, it was mentioned earlier that we have at least 3 very specific disbursement-linked indicators that are supporting non-revenue water reduction. You will not see a disbursement-linked indicator. Disbursement-linked indicator means that you go, you do your business, you invest where you trust that you will make the reduction of the losses, and then you come with the results and we give you a disbursement, which we have agreed upon before. So what we do, I like using the analogy of a ladder. So we start with, let's first do the basic minimum. The DLI number 6 talks about governance and planning. PIAP is Performance Improvement Action Plan. Governance and planning. You comply with the WASREB standards, with the WASREB regulations, have your tariff, have your license, have your board well set up, and then do your performance improvement action plan, which sets the baseline and the target. And the biggest measure that we use for that improvement is, again, OCCR, or operating cost recovery ratio, because it's a good measure of the overall improvement. MD Vika told us that even if non-revenue water sometimes is high, and we will see in one of the slides, actually the correlation is something very interesting. Sometimes the OCCRs are very high and the non-revenue water is also very high. We need to think through this. So once you do this, then you get a disbursement. Then we come to the next part, which is the implementation of the OCCR. Okay, you have set the baseline and you have said things will improve very much. You got the disbursement from DLI number 6. You go and do the smart metering. What else do they say they will do? Smart metering. Sometimes it's even buying motorbikes for meter reading. You know, it's as interesting as that. But then the WSP, we will not control what you're doing. You can even enter into a performance-based contract with a private enterprise. Once you have results that you have moved from your baseline OCCR towards your target, then we disburse against the delta, the change from the baseline OCCR to where you are at. And finally, we expect that some of the WSPs will join a few who are already credit-worthy into borrowing from the commercial banks, which is already happening, and we are expanding that DLI to actually cover PBCs, to cover private, performance-based contracts including for non-revenue water, energy efficiency, and others. So the theory of change of KWASH, if you don't remember anything else on KWASH, the theory of change is that sustainable NRW reduction is not a standalone infrastructure fix, but it is the product of better governed, let's listen there, better governed, better managed, and better financed utilities. You see, the financing is coming at the end. It's not the biggest problem. That's not the World Bank stand. It is mine that financing is not, it's not the biggest challenge. You will not be able to see this, and I actually don't want you to see too much of it because it has names, and this is not a name and shame. I was trying to check the correlation between OCCRs and non-revenue water. It's very interesting. You will see, and we saw that also from the impact report. If you read Impact 18, you will also see this. I think this doesn't work. But yeah, so you see these ones on top here, the red ones, have have low OCCRs and high NRW. Of course, those ones really just need to do something. But you will have outliers here who have high OCCRs and also very high non-revenue water. So the idea is definitely to move these two, that you have low non-revenue water and you have high OCCRs. This is also a quick look on the performance of the WSPs that are under KWASH. On the left side, you have, both of them are looking at non-revenue water, actually. The reduction from 2023-2024, no, the change, not the reduction. The change from 2023-2024 and 2024-2025, the recently launched impact. You see, interesting. We definitely, that was not me. We definitely need to make sure that the reds are not. We need to make sure that the reds are not happening because we need to see change. We need to see positive change. So you will see a few WSPs which have red, which means that they, instead of getting to green, reducing their non-revenue water, it increased. But we also heard from one of the MDs that there are many, and I believe there could be many reasons, including data integrity for that. I'm coming to a close now. NAWASIP, we talk about NAWASIP a lot. But I think we talk about the global figures, CS and PS, we talk about the global figure of NAWASIP, we talk about how much money we can leverage from the private sector and all these. This is not very visible, but what this shows is this is an urban water scenario. So if you do business as usual, you see where the gray reaches. Where the gray reaches, if we do business as usual, including getting finances in the manner we are still getting from everyone, and projecting increase of government spending as we go to 2030, we will only reach up to about 3.5 million households, whereas we want to get to about 7 million. So that is a whole gap. So if we don't do anything else, we are only expecting additional financing, we have to increase all that financing, which is definitely not possible, especially in the physical situations that we are in. So NAWASIP actually advocates for reforms, capital efficiencies. It advocates for increasing efficiency in revenue collection, in non-revenue water reduction, and in other things like tariff. So we really need to talk about this. We really need to make sure that we are not only looking at the gap in financing, that reforms become very important. You see, you can generate as much as, I think the number is even higher, 31 billion, by reducing non-revenue water to 25%. The other graph just gives the message that I had given earlier, that PBCs overall perform better than utility-led programs. Finally, where do we want to move from here? So again, we already know a lot of the things that could help in reducing non-revenue water, and the technology is good, but it is not the biggest fix is really on a number of things. The approaches that we are using and the governance of the utilities. So a few things recommended here is let's work on scaling performance-based contracts and results-based financing. I'm happy to hear I'm not the only one who is advocating for this. We also heard the CS very passionately during the Impact launch, and a few other speakers who came before me were also talking about this. Tariffs, I think it's an only issue which is hardly mentioned, but we really need to talk about tariffs, because even if we move, even if we try to have non-revenue water gains, if we do not move tariffs to cost recovery, then there's nowhere really we are going. And of course, mobilizing private capital, not just the commercial financing, which is very ripe in Kenya, but other forms of financing. We also heard about bonds earlier in the day. So my call to action for government is really to establish a performance-based financing NRW program, which all of us can plug into. You are the one who can steer us, your partners, whether private or development partners. You are the one who can steer us towards where you would like us to go with this. I would like to point you to this website that has open resources on contracting tools for non-revenue water. You're welcome to just search PPP Resource Center. This is not only done by World Bank, it also by other partners. And there are also other resources that we can all tap into. Let me end it there, and I hope that it will transition well to the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pascaline, for perhaps framing one of the most important conversations facing the water sector today. Let's give her another round of applause, please. Now, before we proceed, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to recognize a number of guests who have joined us this afternoon. We are honored this afternoon by the presence of the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Engineer Eric Mugaa. Mr. CS, many thanks for being here with us. We're equally honored to welcome the Principal Secretary, State Department for Water and Sanitation, Mr. Julius Korir. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. We also acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Gideon Behar, who is the Ambassador of the State of Israel to Kenya. We are also privileged to have with us this afternoon His Excellency Joshua Irungu. He is the Governor of Laikipia County and Chairperson of the Water Caucus in the Council of Governors, as well as all other delegates joining us this afternoon. Karibuni sana. We also welcome our county leadership present, our development partners, and most importantly this afternoon, I'd like to especially recognize a section in the audience that calls themselves the water consumers. I would actually appeal to the organizers like WASPA. The water consumers say they are a big stakeholder in this water sector, but were not really invited for this conversation. Their views were not given a platform to be heard, and they were actually not allowed to have lunch because they did not have badges. So next year, let's consider the water consumer as an important stakeholder. Now, the keynote address this afternoon by Pascaline has, I would like to think, challenged us all to think differently about financing. The reality is that reducing non-water revenue isn't just about sealing leaks and replacing aging infrastructure. From what we've heard this morning, it's also about creating the right partnerships that enable utilities to invest with confidence, to scale properly, and most importantly, to deliver services for generations to come. Now, our next panel discussion brings together the very leaders responsible for shaping policy, mobilizing investment, and turning all these ideas into practical action. They represent government and development sector, and they'll be exploring how we can now explore how innovative financing can move from concept to implementation. Allow me now to welcome our panelists on stage. Our first panelist is Mr. Julius Korir. Let's give him a round of applause. He is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Water and Sanitation. PS Korir has played a central role in advancing Kenya's water sector reforms, as well as coordinating national programs. Also joining him, or expected to join him, was the Principal Secretary, State Department for Irrigation, although I do not see him in the room. Do we have a representative? We do not. All right. Our next panelist is Engineer Kefa Seda, Director General of the Public-Private Partnerships Directorate at the National Treasury. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes on stage. Engineer Seda leads Kenya's public-private partnership program, helping unlock private investment for strategic infrastructure. We're also delighted to welcome on stage Mr. Eric Larsen. Mr. Eric Larsen is the chair of the Water Sector Development Partners Group. Let's give him a round of applause, please. He works closely with government and development partners to mobilize investment and strengthen collaboration to support sustainable development across Kenya's water sector. Now, joining us on the panel, we also have Mr. Mwaniki, who will be representing Dr. Hosea Kili. Dr. Hosea Kili is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of CPF Financial Services. Let's give Mr. Mwaniki a round of applause. Representing the Kenya Association of Stock Brokers and Investment Banks, KASIB, and also sitting in for Mr. Willie Njoroge, who was meant to join us this afternoon, we're pleased to welcome Ms. Kathure Nyamu. Ms. Kathure Nyamu brings extensive experience in investment, infrastructure, finance, as well as capital markets. She'll be sharing with us perspectives on how innovative financing can unlock greater investment in Kenya's water sector. Also representing KASIB is Ewart Salins. Mr. Ewart brings extensive experience in investment advisory and capital markets, adding an important perspective in mobilizing private capital and developing sustainable financing solutions for infrastructure. What an amazing panel we have on stage. Let's give them another round of applause. And every conversation will need someone to guide it. We're pleased to welcome now this is also part of our panelists, I beg your pardon, and that is Mr. Alawi Amadi. Is he with us in the room? Mr. Alawi Amadi is the Director of Consumer Services at the Tanga Urban Water Supply and Sanitation Authority, all the way from Tanzania. Let's give him a round of applause. Now, guiding this distinguished conversation is someone who's been at the center of many, many reforms in Kenya's water sector. I haven't introduced him yet, but he's about to get up from his seat. So let me welcome on stage, ladies and gentlemen, Engineer Sao Alima, Water Secretary in the State Department of Water and Sanitation. Engineer, the stage is yours.
Starting on the protocol that have been laid, we have a panel here that is basically going to discuss on the innovative financing, public-private partnerships, private initiated projects, blended finance, and green bonds for reduction of non-revenue water. So this is a continuity of the presentation from Pascaline. We are here 7 panelists. We will give each 3 minutes. I would request that the Principal Secretary will do the last one. Yeah, we'll do the last one just to talk about the reforms we have done in the water sector regarding non-revenue water. So the first question will go to Mr. Engineer Kefa Seda, the Director General for Public-Private Partnerships Directorate, the National Treasury. Yeah. So all PPPs in the water sector In the public sector, they go through him. So what opportunities exist? What opportunities do you think exist for public-private partnerships focused specifically on non-revenue water reduction in Kenya? What opportunities do we have?
Thank you very much, Engineer Lima. Just to correct something, which is the title of our discussion, we're focusing on PPP, then we've hived out privately initiated proposals. Yes. If you look at our procurement, the PPP Act, we've got two broad procurement methods: government initiated and private sector initiated. Government initiated, we have the open, competitive, restricted, and direct procurement. Under the private sector initiated, we have now the PIPs. Everything else is conceived as PPP. So we cannot have PIP separate from PIP. PIP is just a procurement pathway that the private sector initiates. Back to your question, and just to contextualize, out of the World Bank report that we have today, and I'm happy Wanjiko did paint this picture, globally, the cost of what we lose in terms of non-revenue water stands at in excess of 14 billion US dollar. And it's a third of it is attributed to developing world. Come to developing world, we have nearly 45 million cubic that is lost on a daily basis due to leakages. Additional 30 million cubic, which is supplied, but it's not billed. And if you look at all these things, it's not a technical challenge. It's not only a technical challenge. Wanjiko has painted the picture. We have governance issues. And lastly, we have financial issues. Look at other jurisdictions. What did Brazil do? They also had non-revenue water up to 38%. They deliberately decided to change their metering both for industrial and commercial consumptions. These helped them to net revenue in excess of 72 million US dollar yearly, which was never there. And additionally, underperformers in terms of reporting for non-revenue also reduced by 43,000 meters cubed per day. What am I trying to say here? Looking at all the wastages that we have, we can easily harness the wastages and convert them into revenues. And how do we do this? If you look at everything that we've painted, it's afforded now for us to leverage on private sector capabilities. It's not only financing that we're looking when we're tapping into PPPs. We look at their innovation, we look at their efficiencies, which is now attributed to the governance inefficiencies that we have that face some of our utilities, and lastly, financing. How do we now integrate all these things and create an opportunity for private sector to come in? By definition, PPP is a long-term contractual alignment between the public and private to provide asset or service with significant risk transferred to the private sector. And any remuneration or considerations in terms of payment is pegged on performance. What Wanjiko was speaking to, performance-based contracting. Now, we can structure what we have within the water utility to performance-based contracting, where we tell them to look at our reticulations line, and based on KPIs that we define in terms of raising, limiting, reducing non-revenue water, then that is now linked to payments which they'll get. So that presents an avenue where private sector can come in. And we've got a number of blended financing that come in, including raising sustainability-linked loans or bonds to come and support us in most of these initiatives. Looking at the entire life cycle, we can also have PPP under water sector, and we are happy to report that we have a number that we are dealing with now, looking at the end-to-end from abstraction to bulk supply to now distribution. But at the end of the day, it requires government support in terms of viability, gap funding. But that's a discussion that we can have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarification that there exists appetite from the private sector to invest on non-revenue water, end to end. Next is Mr. Jejen. How are you? Mr. Georgian is the chair for Water Sector Development Partner Group. What are the key lessons from successful non-revenue water reduction programs supported from development partners in Kenya?
Thank you very much, Engineer Lima. But maybe just firstly a reflection over something that Pescaline said in her excellent keynote, that we will probably not today hear or learn anything that we didn't know or have heard before. Yeah. And there I actually got a reflection because I started thinking, maybe we need to redefine what non-revenue water actually is. Because what we are very much talking about here, and also what the numbers in the WASREP impact report is reflecting, is very much the numbers after abstraction, when the water is basically being delivered. So the losses that we get there, physical losses, the water which is being used and not paid for, and the water which is being stolen. What we are not considering here is all the water that is being abstracted from abstractions that are not licensed, that are not registered. The numbers I've heard here is that we probably have around 45,000 to 50,000 abstractions in Kenya. So from rivers, from lakes, from ponds, from boreholes, etc. And out of these are probably only around 10 to 15,000 licensed and paying the bulk fee. That is basically paying for the water resource management, which is ongoing. Yeah. So I'll just let that one hang there. Maybe we need to consider that part of non-revenue water also. But I think the key success to international cooperation, I think, is very much around understanding what's the value of international cooperation. What is it that you can do with international partners? And I believe that's very much to do with knowledge exchange, with technology transfer, of course, mutual learnings on experience. Don't repeat our failures, repeat our successes, enabling the partners that you have to leapfrog into new solutions, pooling resources very much also, and I think also what Engineer Mary said around infusion. Yeah. So basically it's about creating access to the best available solutions. Yeah. And in the many years I've been working in Africa, I've very often heard the sentence, we need African solutions for Africa. I must say, and it's a bit provocative here, I do not subscribe to that. I think what we need to ensure is access to the best available solution. So if the best available solution is a Kenyan solution, I would very much hope that Denmark can get access to that. If the best available solution is a solution coming from South Africa, I would very much like and support that Kenya get access to that. And even if the best solution should be Dutch, I would also, partner to make sure that one is available. So accessibility to the best available solution. And how do you do that? I think it's very much about building relations. You have to build a platform of trust. You have to listen. You have to understand where is the partner now? Where is the partner coming from? Looking at the graphs that you showed this morning, Engineer Lima, around, we can see that connectivity, connection, access to water has increased a lot in Kenya, yeah? But non-revenue water has not. Yeah? So your focus has been on building, getting more water out to the people. And we see exactly the same in South Africa. I was talking to our South African colleagues down here. That's exactly the same after the fall of apartheid in '94. The focus was very much on getting more water out to the people, and not so much on non-revenue water. So you need to understand where are the policies, where the policy is going. And of course, that takes time, and you have to make that time to create that space before you can move on. Then, of course, the modality and the scope of work, I think we've hovered a lot around being in the know. We need to understand you can't manage anything you are not measuring. But I think also around building incentives. I think this duality of the regulator, both giving the carrot and the stick, and basically swinging the whip over the water sector providers, better, cheaper, that's very, very important. So building institutional incentives, but also building personal incentives. You said this morning that why has Miro succeeded? Because they work, yeah? And you said also in your presentation, give them a bonus, the ones that are out there. So I'm building institutional and individual incentives is extremely important. Yeah. And then, of course, we have a lot of good examples of capacity building, peer-to-peer work, Dutch organizations working with peer-to-peer, basically, technical people for utilities in the partner country working together, talking the same language. It's very, very efficient. And then, of course, we also need to bring some financing to the table. I think there are some good examples that were highlighted by Pescaline already. Allow me to highlight one more. We are, together with our impact fund, building a water financing facility together with Water Sector Trust Fund. It will be a revolving financing facility looking at also in-crowding commercial funding, providing blended finance to the water services providers. If we can get that one going, I believe it can be a game changer. And then, of course, we should not oversee private sector, and I think that's the focus here. So when the Grundfosses of this world, they come to the WSPs with an idea about making a performance-based contract where they can introduce pumps that can save very much on the electricity bill, there should be easy mechanisms where they can go in and create and establish a performance-based contract with the WSPs. So I think my call to action, I very much subscribe to what Pescaline said, but I think also the establishment of, easy procedures and quick procedures for establishing these things and building capacity, I think, on both sides, both on the WSP side, but also on the private sector side, on how you do that. So you can get good, strong, and not least very fair PPPs going out there. What you often see, unfortunately, is that the private partner has better and better paid lawyers than the public partner, and we should get beyond that. So let's create a one-stop shop for PPP so we can get this going. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Georgian, that we adopt what works for us. We understand ourselves, understand the sector, make decisions and move forward. Thank you so much. Now we move on to Mr. Mwaniki. Mr. Mwaniki, how can blended financing be used to attract private capital into the non-revenue water reduction initiatives?
First of all, before we get into how it can be used, we have to understand that for an investor to be interested in financing, they have to look at what is the feasibility study that has been conducted so that you establish all the components that are required. And one of the challenges we have come across is that the cost of conducting these feasibility studies needs to be made by someone. And the investor is coming on the table looking for, are you bankable? And then we also look at our WSPs have a challenge of legacy debt, which is something that we need to figure out how do we clean this balance sheet so that they're able to come to market. And maybe perhaps that would leave us to moving to securitization of the revenues. And still at that point, that is where now the blended finance comes in very handy, because you'll find that to reduce the cost of money, then you do need the DFIs to come in and give the concessional grants that you can pull this together and then come into the market as a team, as opposed to an individual water company. Because again, the cost of coming into market individually becomes quite sometimes a bit punitive. But when you come in as a sector together, then you can be able to reduce on that. One other thing that we must also bear in mind is that, for example, if you are attracting money from the pension industry, the water company also must ensure that they are not in arrears in the submission of this pension. Because perhaps also one of the contributors of NRW is the staff morale, because they're also looking at their future and they're saying, by the time I retire, I may not be able to access my pension. They are paying themselves on the go, which is actually not good. So when you combine all those things, ultimately you must look at the investor confidence. When the investor faces an opportunity, whether it's a PPP, whether it is a PIP, you're looking at, will my money be safe? Will it come back? Will I get my return that I'm looking for? Because this money is chasing after attractive returns. So when you come ready and well packaged, for sure, certainly you get the money.
Yeah. You are bringing in the sense of stability, sector consistency, self-financing. How are your books? so that somebody, a private investor, can have confidence in you. Thank you so much. So I want Willie Njoroge and Edward Salin to comment on the same. There?
Kadure Nyamo.
Oh, okay, the same. How can blended financing be used to attract private capital into the non-revenue water sector initiatives?
Okay, perhaps I can just paint a bit of a context how private capital from the pension markets can come in, right? So if you just look at Kenya, if I was to look at it generally, there's approximately 3 trillion shillings worth of pension fund money, right? So if you go by the Retirement Benefits Act, and very specifically Table G, 10% of that can be allocated to alternatives, and not all 10% will come into water, a portion of that. Let's just take a number. 10% of 3 trillion is 300 billion. 10% of 300 billion is 30 billion, right? So I'm just making these numbers up, but there's fairly good indicators around that. Let's say you can tap into 30 billion. I will take you back 8 years, if you don't mind, just for a bit of a story. About 8 years ago, the Kenya Pooled Water Fund tried to come to the market. And at that point, and I think Mr. Njaramba here can attest to it, the regulations around it, around the sector, was not, it was not all kosher, it wasn't all put together, and it has now come, and Kadure can talk to that as well. It was very difficult when we did the roadshows to the fund managers to actually sell the bond. And look, I'll be very blunt, if you don't mind. The fund manager would ask, okay, can I possibly give money to government, to a county government? Won't they just steal it? Is my money actually going to go? I mean, how can I trust you if I give you a shilling? I mean, they wouldn't tell you this to your face. I'm telling you to your face. If I give you 100 shillings, will I get my 100 shillings and some back? Because I'm looking for a return. And remember, a fund manager is investing. What's the risk-free thing that he can do? He can give it into government securities, right? And the government will give him back, let's just say for the sake of argument, it's 15%. He's sure he'll get a 15%. So you're asking Mr. Fund Manager, can you put my money in us, and can I give you 15%? Remember, I'll get that from government. I need to get 15% plus, right? Now, this can take quite a bit of time to explain, but the key thing here is if you're going to go to the private sector, very specifically the pension funds, the money is there. The key thing is how do you structure it? I think the first point that engineer brought out here was the technical side. He talked about the governance side, and then he talked about the finance side. Finance will insist on your second point, governance. Governance, that's key. Anything that takes away, and we've looked at the flow charts here, and you look at the leakages and all of that takes away from the yield. So the 15% number I talk about, if you have leakages, if you have theft of water, if you have governance issues, it will take away from the yield. And I think if you want to approach the private sector to raise money, you're going to have to address governance challenges. What I'm trying to tell you is as the fund management sector, we are ready to play ball. The money is there. Bring a structured instrument that ticks all the boxes, and you'll raise a part of it, for sure.
Thank you so much. Add.
Yes,
Catherine.
I think I'd like to add. He talked about structuring. The beauty is, as we talk about governance, there is structures that we can come up with to safeguard some of the governance challenges that I think have been articulated in this forum earlier. And I'll speak to, for instance, the Kenya Pooled Water Fund, because I was the one working on that with my team then. And what we were looking to do is to come to the market and offer a structured product, an asset-backed security. So this was going to be funded on the back of receivables that were clear, could be monetized in the future. And in fact, some of the structures we're looking at is, can these actually be moved from the water companies into special purpose vehicles that have assurances built into that, including cash flow collections, revenue assurance. I think we spoke about that earlier. And so, as my colleague has said, it's very important. It's one thing to give money. So return of capital has to be guaranteed, because the alternative is to put it in government. We'll get the money back anyway. And then there's the return of capital. So there's structures around that. There are structures around that. And I'm very happy to talk about a potential structuring that we are working with Anthony, Mr. Anthony Jaramba, to actually securitize, come to the market on the back of these revenues that the receivables, the water receivables, we can come and issue a green bond. And that is a lovely instrument, because in addition to ticking all the boxes, there's the issue of ESG. I think it's on the tongue and tip of everybody. ESG. Water is a no-brainer. And there's a lot of capital that is available to support some of these ventures. And if I can speak to the whole issue of blended finance, the most important thing is to get the partner who first come to de-risk the project. Yeah. Once that is de-risked, it could be, the partner who takes a first loss, or the partner who puts in the equity, which is the first loss lease, or a credit guarantor. And then, as you had said, of the 10% of 3 trillion, the 300 billion, it's going to find a home. And I'm very happy to say to, the water service providers here, water is a necessity. We are always going to need it. And so if we have structured solutions, we're certainly going to get the funding. Very important, technical feasibilities have to be done. We have to be clear, where is the money going? What does success look like? Is the money deployed in the format it's supposed to be deployed? What are the returns? I think my colleague talked about the IRR. What is a return? So that is going to be very important. But what I can say is, with proper structuring, and as CACIB, our members who are the investment banks who are structuring these solutions, who are also the people who go out to talk to the fund managers and other providers of capital, allocators of capital, they know how to package these deals. So please feel free to talk to us at CACIB. We're very happy to support you.
Thank you so much for that as well. The sector you are hearing, financing is not a challenge. It's how we structure ourselves, how we de-risk the sector, so that the investors are assured of return on investments. Okay, let's move on to Alawi. What role does green bonds, sustainability-linked loans, or climate finance play in funding non-revenue water reduction programs?
Thank you. In all water sector projects in totality, the role of all those alternative or innovative financing mode is the same as the equity from the government. That is, we need to make sure that we improve our infrastructure to give access to the whole community that is expected to serve as utilities, but also making sure that we maintain them to obtain sustainability in the long run. And as other colleagues have been saying, that we need to commercialize these operations. That's how we can attract these other alternative financing avenues to support our infrastructure development and sustainability.
Thank you so much, Alawi. Alawi is saying we need to commercialize our operations. And that does not mean we privatize. Yeah. Because those two are different and can cause a lot of harm to the sector. But we need to move on systematically. Systematically move on. Provide instrument. Yeah. You want to add? So with that, I want to invite the Principal Secretary just to close it up by on the policy reforms that we have considered in reducing non-revenue water. Yes.
Thank you, Engineer Lima. I think this conference has come at the right moment when we now as a nation, we are looking at how to reduce the loss of investments that we've already put into the water we generate, and then we lose it through various ways. I think first is to maybe bring the context. The role of government is to provide a conducive environment, and that environment is through predictive legislation that gives the private sector confidence. And I think what we did as a government was, first of all, the review of the Water Act 2016, which gave way to the role of private sector in water provision. And so PPP is now a reality, and we have a number of PPPs that we are looking at, which we hope in due course we are going to have them concluded. And the main sticky thing that has been there that has slowed the progress is the high non-revenue, because when a private sector is coming to bring his capital, the first thing is, will I recoup my investment? And when they find documented reports saying that non-revenue is high, then they also cost their capital high, which makes that unrealistic and maybe expensive for the common person. So that is where we are. The Water Act has given a level playing field, but now the issue that is now holding us back is the issue of governance. I think we find that utilities are having challenges in the way they run their affairs. And I think when we were talking to one utility out there, they said the secret to them being the best performing for the last 2 or 3 years in impact report is culture. And culture starts from management, it starts from the way staff work, and then the tone is set from the top, from the leadership, the county government, the board of the utility, the top management. And so this is an area that as a way of also improving, we have in our water regulations, we've said now we are not just going to be regulating the prices for the water, but we'll also put the utility to some benchmarks on a performance improvement, the targets, where they will now tell us this is the baseline of the non-revenue we have, and this is where we hope to reach. So we have put non-revenue as one of the performance target. We also have the operational OCCR is also another target that we are looking at, and then the technical capacity of the top leadership. The head of technical, that is the person in charge of non-revenue, the commercial director, the accountant. So we have put qualifications, benchmarks, so that before we approve, we want to get approved that the top management in an institution are qualified. Then the issue of the turnover of leadership. I think now we have put that now the CEOs for the utilities have security of tenure, 5 years, so that they will not be removed at whims and leading the organization into some uncertainty and all that. So those are some of the governance reforms that we're doing. Then we have capacity building through our institutions, both from the ministry, our waterworks development agencies, and also KEWI, which is our training and research institution. And we have set up a center of excellence for non-revenue so that the utilities can come and enhance their capacity. Then as a ministry, on the issue of the hardware, we've been involved mainly on the now network improvement and renewal. And this is where we are supporting counties to upgrade, update the existing systems and make them better so that they reduce the losses that come with wear and tear. And also in our projects, when we are designing them, we make sure that support on meters and other infrastructure is provided. And then the adoption of performance-based contracts, we have the framework ready, and now we are calling upon utilities to adopt. And I just want to say that on the BBC, it's not a new thing in Kenya. For instance, in the road sector, all the highways you see, They are run and maintained on a performance-based contract, where a private sector is given a period of 3 years, and they are paid on the basis of how they keep the road in good condition. So the same way we can, as utilities now, set first of all the DMAs. Then you assign a DMA to a private sector and say, you will be in charge to make sure that the water supply, connection, billing, and everything is done. And then when they achieve certain benchmarks, they are given a pay or a reward for the good work they have done. So it's nothing, as people have been fearing, that you're going to privatize. No, it is just giving somebody who is dedicated and committed, who is going to be paid for the work done. If they don't work, they're not paid. So those are some of the areas that we as a ministry now are pushing, and my rallying call to all of us is that let's adopt this new way of doing things so that we can save at least the 1 billion we lose every month. And that's why I think in this event we have one partner that we want to partner with, which is deploying technology in non-revenue management. And I think we will be now working with the counties through cooperative frameworks so that we can work together and in the process generate new money. Because when you reduce non-revenue, you've been losing money. So new money is injected into your cash flow, and you can use that cash flow now for renewal, expansion, and serving even the vulnerable of the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Principal Secretary, for assuring us of the PBC, for assuring us of governance reforms, efficiency reforms, so that the sector becomes consistent, the sector becomes stable. In fact, 10 years ago, we could not hear what we are now hearing. We could not hear that there's money. Yeah? We could not hear there's money, have a good instrument and come to us. Because this was a social sector, purely a social sector. But things have changed, and things are changing for the better of the people of Kenya. With those remarks, I want us to appreciate the panelists. 1, 2, 3. Good, good, good. We can stand for a photo.
All right, let's give them another round of applause, please. Even as our...
You have not asked us questions. Yeah, but you can ask us
Right,
1, 2, 3 questions.
As you take the group picture,
Just
Engineer,
relax, just
I have
relax.
a few questions
Just
I
relax,
had
just
already
relax.
got earlier. In the interest of time, I will only ask these questions. This one is quite difficult to read, but it is still from Daniel Murugu. He says he is a water consumer from Nakuru County. Daniel said, I recently attended your national validation meeting for KENAS. I don't know if we have a KENAS representative. In this, do you want water service providers to pay your inspectors 65,000 shillings on every lab inspection? Further, they pay for their accommodation, their meals, their transport. Do you think it is fair, especially to financially ridden WSPs?
Which inspectors? KENAS inspectors?
Specifically KENAS inspectors for bills, regulations, and fees.
No, WPS can say something.
Again, sorry, I'll be using my institution of memory. KENAS is an institution of Ministry of Industry, and it's a what do you call it? It's an organization that does accreditation services for standards. So I think it is a misplaced question.
All right, I have a second question here, and this is particularly for Engineer Seda. It says the water sector is among the sectors to benefit from the infrastructure fund, together with irrigation, roads, railways, ICT. What is your take on the ideal percentage that should be allocated to the water sector? That is also from Dan Murugu.
Okay, I'm corrected here. There's somebody from Kenas.
Yes, there was somebody from Kenas in the morning, and they did a presentation. Do you have? Yes, she's there. So you can clarify.
Just a clarification. At this point, accreditation is still voluntary. So because you want to give an extra layer of assurance to your clients that you're doing the right thing and the water that you're supplying is fit for human consumption, it has been checked, and your processes have been checked by a third party, that is why we do assessments. On the issue of the facilitation, we are a government institution. So if an officer has to go work outside Nairobi or whichever county they are in, there are rates in which they are paid, and that is the rate that you are charged. Thank you very much.
It is not mandatory. I think for us, the utilities, it is an additional step you take to give quality assurance to your customers. Thank you.
All right, we can take one more question, one final question.
One final question?
For the panel, please.
Yeah, that hand.
Thank you very much. I'm Kibiti from Bungoma. First of all, I want to really appreciate this conference for the benchmarks that we are receiving. Now, when you get out there and what you hear here, there are two different things that come out. One, when we get the best performing water service providers, they do not give the exact differences that they are there and with others. Some of us, we run pumping stations. Others have gravity stations. Now, when it comes to like Bungoma, we're paying about 8 million for power. And when you look at chemicals, then you look at the salaries. Now the idea of saying you are not credited worth comes in. Because the entire money we receive is going to power. They are classifying our tariffs, because I visited and asked, what is all this? He said, this is a commercial tariff. Now that we have both here, one appears, I think that's where sometimes policies comes in. Water is a basic commodity. And one of the facilitators said, it must be cheap. But with this kind of power tariffs, I don't see how this water is going to be cheap. Two, wherever I come from, water is one of the most politicized natural resources. You go, you extract the water, and you start running it. And the next time the MD calls and says, our 10-inch pipe has been vandalized. What is the problem? They want a flat rate tariff for themselves. Now, when you go and tell them it is WASREP that fixes the tariffs, they don't even seem to understand. Then they also demand for jobs. This water comes from here, and you're not employing us. So I think there are several things that we must factor into the policies.
All right, many thanks. And as we come to a close, Mr. Pierce, I know we are in the interest of time. That wasn't a question. I do have one question for you as we close, and this is from Godwill Mwaru from Kiambere Mwingi Water and Sanitation Company. He asks, how can the ministry take part in asset management activities that are beyond WSP capabilities financially, like pipelines that would cost over $1 billion to renew once they outlive their design life? And he adds that WSP or county concern for renewing these assets often doesn't come out as a ministerial priority, yet high-cost capital projects are a ministerial responsibility.
Okay, thank you. I think the earlier comment was more of a comment, but the way to address it is through capacity building. Yes, where you come from, where I come from, what tunasema maji ni afisi. It's free, and so it should not be paid for. But what we should teach our people is that we are not buying water. We are buying the convenience of cleaning it, transporting it to a close distance to you, whereby, because it's clean, you are now going to avoid waterborne diseases. And so it's a plus. So it's an education and a change management process, which I would want us as leaders, we also do train our people so that they stop looking at it as an expense, but a facilitation fee. You're not the only one paying electricity. Mombasa, that is Coast Water, which is our agency, pays 70 million per month for piping water from Baricho all the way to Mombasa. It is a fully pumping scheme, but somehow they are able to recoup and able also to maintain and expand. So I think when you start focusing as per the guideline of WASREP on OCCR, you'll be able to see the high cost areas in your administration. You may find maybe you have more staff. So you can work with the county to see they are deployed, and then you have less burden on that. So, and then I know our Lake Victoria North is here. You can work with them and see how we can support one another in installing hybrid systems so as to reduce the pumping costs, the way we have done in Mombasa and other places. So it's a discussion that we have, which now I go to the question that you've just asked on the bulk infrastructure. I think the Constitution is very clear that for the bulk water infrastructure systems, the national government will support. So those are the areas that we need to discuss, understand where the issue is, and then we can work on an investment plan to be able to do that. However, also in the tariff that is given, there is a fee that you are given a proportion as a utility for asset renewal. So a prudent manager, utility manager, or CEO would be to set up an account where when the tariff is paid by the customer, that proportion for asset renewal is set aside so that you can now plan for it at the end of the year and see which areas you need to expand, which areas you need to renew. But the unfortunate thing is that we put all money into a pass, then tunatumia kama kawaida. So again, all those things that you have asked have been anticipated in the tariff approval process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Now you can appreciate us. And you can now have a photo.
Let's take the official group photo. We have the official photographer who will be doing that. In the meantime, let's please have the podium back on stage. Let's give Mr. Alima and our panelists another well-deserved round of applause. Asante sana, please be seated, gentlemen and lady. What a thought-provoking discussion that was on how we can move from dreams and ideas to action and implementation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the close of the technical bit of the program for day one of this conference. We now transition to the official opening ceremony of the Non-Revenue Water Management Conference, proudly hosted by the Water and Sanitation Providers Association. May I ask you all to stand for the singing of the national anthem, followed by the East African anthem. Media team.
Mungu yetu,
ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. Please be seated. Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Water and Sanitation Providers Association, allow me to once again warmly welcome you all to the official opening ceremony of the Non-Revenue Water Management Conference in this beautiful town of Naivasha in the county of Nakuru. Today's sessions since morning have explored the policies, the innovations, and even the financing models needed to scale Kenya's water sector and reduce non-revenue water. This afternoon, we formally reaffirm our collective commitment to ensuring that every drop of water produced and treated delivers value for our utilities and for the people that we serve. Today's ceremony is therefore more than just the opening of a conference. It is also the celebration of collaboration, bringing us all here together for one common goal, that is a stronger, sustainable water sector for the country. Ladies and gentlemen, to officially welcome us to this conference, it is my pleasure to invite on stage the chairman of the Water and Sanitation Providers Association, a man who's been a passionate advocate for collaboration. Please welcome on stage Mr. Thomas Odongo, chairman. Karibu sana. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great day. I'm very, very excited and happy to be here following conversations from morning up to this time that we are here. Bwana CS, karibu sana, asante sana, and always supportive. We really do appreciate. Bwana PS, the same. The chair of the Water Committee at the Council of Governors, our own water person, Governor Karibu Sana, the Deputy Governor, Nakuru County, our host, Karibu Sana, the Israeli ambassador to Kenya, thank you very much. And thanks so much for the discussions we've had on the way forward for the water sector in Kenya. The protocol list is a bit big, so I appreciate all of you who have come here today. Bwana CS, this is a different conference. This is an action-oriented conference to the extent that the delegates today decided to forego the mid-morning tea break. And we are here from morning. Am I lying? That is how engaging this session is. It started with very thought-provoking presentations from the Water Secretary, who made us understand where we are in terms of non-revenue water and what actions that we need to take at every step as you work towards improving, reducing our non-revenue water levels. The conversation, again, is not about the challenges that we have as water utilities, but the solutions that are there. And we are agreeing that, yes, there are challenges, but we have solutions, and the solutions are within us. We've been talking about the funding gap, but today, nobody is talking about the gap. We are all talking about there is money. It is us to tap into that money. And I want to appreciate our friend from Tanzania who has come all the way so that we can learn from Tanga Water how they did it. And they did float a very successful green bond. I also want to appreciate the presence of the capital markets, the Association of Stockbrokers, and you heard the presentation here. Then something that we are working on. What we are saying is that as a sector, we have to be innovative. And when we are innovative, then we are going to get solutions, and we are going to move to where we are, which, Bwana CS, we are doing. If you look at all the KPIs, we are making steady progress. Our hairy, audacious goal is non-revenue water that moved from 2023-2024, 44% to the last impact report, 2024-2025 to 48%. Today, as we sit here, we should be talking about a different figure. What I'm trying to say is that we request the regulator to be timely with this report. We've just ended the financial year 2025-26, so we are talking about a different figure. We are talking about a different figure. So let's not dwell so much on the 48. It could be lower. It could also be higher. That is why this conversation is important. I want to appreciate the collaboration that we have in the sector from the national government, our parent ministry, with the sagas that are there, the national treasury, and from the highest office in this land. I'm told that he's very concerned about this non-revenue water, and that makes us say that we are not conceding. We are not conceding defeat as water utilities. We are not conceding defeat. There's something we are doing, and we are going to ensure that we bring this thing, this animal that we call non-revenue water, down to the desired level. Of course, it involves the support from everybody. Once again, appreciation from all our partners who have supported us, all our sponsors who are here at various levels, all the delegates who didn't register, all the delegates who registered. We've just been told there's water consumers who didn't register, but they've been welcomed and they're here. We appreciate them, and it is a learning. Next year, we are going to map our stakeholders better. I want to finalize Chief Guest, CS, with a clarion call. I expect 4 concrete outcomes from this conference. Number 1, we are doing soul searching as utilities, and every utility that is represented here should live with a specific and measurable non-revenue water reduction target, accompanied by a clear implementation roadmap. Are we clear on that as utilities? And we are going to follow up on this in our next bi-monthly meeting. So that is one clarion call. And that roadmap should be very clear. We are going to share Engineer Alima's presentation. If your non-revenue water is above 40%, don't start telling us about satellite. Now what you can see with naked eye, you are not sorting. Sidio, it was very clear. It was very, very clear in that presentation. So we'll borrow from that. As utilities have said, we are soul searching. This thing is an embarrassment. When I saw that NRW went up from 44 to 48%, and Michelle was there. Michelle, that is why you asked us to dance. We couldn't dance because how can you dance on top of 15 billion shillings that you're losing? My second clarion call, Governor Irungu. We expect the county governments to reaffirm their commitment to supporting financially sustainable utilities through good governance and protection of water utilities. Governance has been discussed here, okay? So that should come clear at the end of this conference. Thing 3, Claricon number 3, development partners and financiers. You should identify strategic opportunities for targeted investments that accelerate non-revenue water reduction and digital transformation. We are saying, let's do co-creation together, okay? African solutions to African problems. Local solutions to local problems. Ndio. You can't get solutions from Kisumu Nupeleke, Nyandarua. That is what we are trying to say. Clarion call number 4, as WASPA, we commit to publishing a sector non-revenue water progress report within 6 months from today to track implementation of commitments made during this conference and promote accountability across the sector. Those 4 areas are very key for us as water utilities, and we expect that to come out very clearly as outcomes of this conference. Additionally, as an association, we commit to supporting the sector in 3 strategic areas. Number 1 is to accelerate technology adoption and digital transformation, and we are working with the ministry to come up with technology that is going to transform the sector in the country. Number 2 is strengthening governance, accountability, and performance management. And number 3 is to enhance utility financial sustainability and investment readiness. You saw in the last impact report, O&M cost coverage is 103. We are not yet there. We expect to make that better. These priorities align directly with the National Development Agenda, Vision 2030, bottom-up economic transformation agenda, and the recommendations emerging from WASREB Impact 18 report. Let this conference, therefore, be remembered not simply as another sector gathering, but as the moment when Kenya's water sector collectively resolved to transform technology into measurable impact, innovation into operational excellence, and ambition into sustainable service delivery. God bless you, and let's have fruitful deliberations. Asante sana.
Asante sana, Mr. Chairman. And just before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge specifically the presence of His Excellency Mr. David Konnes, the Deputy Governor of Nakuru County, here representing Governor Susan Kihika. His Excellency, thank you very much for making time to be here with us. At this point, I now invite on stage the Chief Executive Officer of the Water and Sanitation Providers Association, Mr. Anthony Njaramba, to give his welcome remarks. Anthony.
It is not welcome remarks. I'm just coming to moderate this session. That's why the media needs to attend more of our meetings. We have missed them. I'm going to take you very quickly for this closing ceremony. And my chairman has forgotten to introduce, pardon? Oh, opening, yes. Sorry. Blame it on the tea. We didn't have tea. So blame it on the tea. Yeah, because we want to leave here in the next 30 minutes, and I know CS will also help us in that. I would like to say this. It's a great moment, but our chairman forgot to introduce his team. Chairman, if you don't introduce your team now, I may lose my job. Please, can you allow me, please? Yeah, please just stand up. The board of WASPA, led by the vice chair. Bernard Maora, you can see his photo there on the screen. Bernard Maora, raise up your hand. That's the vice chairman. From Nyahururu Water, Laikipia County. Maureen Oginja, she's in charge of private sector, representing us from City Taps Group. Engineer Daniel Nganga Emeritus, Muranga Urban, asante sana. From Eldoret, Daktari Lawrence Tanui, asante sana, from Nyeri, Engineer Peter Kahudhu. Then we have from Kericho, FCPA Ruben Koril. And then our treasurer, the Honorable Treasurer CPA Njiru, black man, black name. And then we have a trustee with us, the only engineer currently who is sitting on that position is the Engineer Jen from Kikuyu Water. And then lastly, our immediate past chairman, who was also one of the moderators today, Moses Kinya, engineer, bishop from Thika Water, Kiambu County. Asanteni, God bless you. Honorable Guest Ambassador, CS, we have a small thing we want to do with KEWI, and I would like to ask Dr. Letangule to join me on stage. We are working together so that after all this knowledge is put together, what are we going to do about it? Then we bring in KEWI and say, we can do small causes to support some of the things that they are doing. Please welcome with me. We have a short ceremony, 3 minutes, and we are done.
Thank you very much, Bwana Anthony, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Water and Sanitation, Ambassador, State of Israel to Kenya. Allow me to say, ride on all the protocols already established. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you to the Non-Revenue Water Management Conference 2026. And on behalf of the Kenya Water Institute, I extend a warm welcome to our sector leaders, policymakers, water service providers, and industry players who have traveled from across the country and around the world to join us here in Naivasha. We gather here to address a challenge that sits very well to our nation's socioeconomic development. This conference serves as a platform for tracking our collective progress, disseminating technical innovations, and establishing the strategic partnerships required to transform our water sector. Our presence today underscores our commitment to securing Kenya Water future. The Kenya Water Institute is a state corporation under the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, established by the Kenya Water Institute Act number 11 of 2001, and our mandate is basically to build the capacity of the entire water sector. We have worked very closely with WASPA to organize this conference, and we are happy to provide this platform for us to exchange ideas that can be able to go a long way in addressing the issue of the non-revenue water. At the Kenya Water Institute, we have developed a number of training programs that work towards addressing this challenge generally across the country. We see this challenge of non-revenue water as a challenge that can be addressed through collaboration, through application of technology, and more importantly, through capacity building. And as the Water Institute, we have developed short courses that help the utilities to address governance issues alongside all the other challenges that the water service providers experience, including the non-revenue water. So I stand here today to give the assurance to the sector that we are an institution that does the research, capacity building, and also training alongside all the other programs that we do run at the school to address all the challenges and to help the sector grow exponentially. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to request that we share a calendar of short courses that we have developed as an institution to serve the entire water sector. So with your permission, sir, allow me to request the Cabinet Secretary to come and receive this calendar of short courses on behalf of the entire sector.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take advantage. Let us learn.
Okay, thank you.
I think that was excellent. I think Letangole, we need to clap for him. He's making hay while the sun still shines. So he has saved a lot of money for a launch for that thing on our account. And now it will be all over. Brilliant guy, a brilliant person. I want to take this opportunity to quickly recognize our Water Tribunal chairman. He's here. The chairman of the Water Tribunal, Dr. Miai Walter. He was here. I don't know why he's gone. Okay. I also have the boards of the water companies have a chair of the chairs. And he comes from the largest utility in this country. And it's my pleasure to welcome Anthony Karanja, who is also a lawyer, advocate, to come and, Arnold, not Anthony. Arnold, please come and, on behalf of the chairman of chairmen.
Good afternoon. The Cabinet Secretary, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, Irrigation, Engineer Eric Muga, the Israeli Ambassador to Kenya, His Excellency Gideon Behar, our PS in the State Department for Water and Sanitation, CBS Julius Korir, Governor Joshua Irongo, Deputy Governor Nakuru County, Honorable David Kones, Engineer Halima, the Water Secretary, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. A disclaimer, I am not the chairman. It just happened that I opened a WhatsApp group where we have all these chairmen together, where we exchange notes. So I do not want a mutiny later on today. So let me just clarify that. And having said that, allow me to recognize the chairman here. My colleagues, my fellow chairmen, if you're here, please stand and wave. Very well. Thank you very much. Board members present, various boards from across the country. If you're a board member, please stand. We could recognize you. Thank you very much. You can wave. So, it is a privilege to join this discussion on innovative financing for non-revenue water management. For Nairobi City County, non-revenue water is not just a technical challenge, it is a financial and governance challenge that directly affects the service delivery to millions of Nairobi residents. Every cubic meter of water lost through leaks, theft, or inefficiencies represents not only lost revenue, but also a lost opportunity to serve Nairobians. In a city of over 4 million residents, the stakes are high. It is for this reason that we believe reducing non-revenue water is not just about financial sustainability. It is about dignity, health, and resilience for our communities. Let me just highlight briefly the scale of our challenge. Nairobi Water serves 4 million residents, yet NRW remains unacceptably high. Losses occur through physical leaks, illegal connections, dilapidated infrastructure, and commercial inefficiencies. If I want to talk about the physical leaks, we can give an example of when we disconnected the offtakes at the Ngedu Gigiri Sasumwa offtakes, and it brought a lot of political pressure, especially in Gudunguri. But having done that disconnection, the global non-revenue of Nairobi Water reduced by 2%. The data is there. So we had to, because of politics, we had to do the connection, but that's a story for another day. Why financing innovation matters? Traditional government funding and donor support cannot meet the scale of Nairobi's infrastructure needs. We must embrace blended finance, combining concessional loans, private capital, and innovative instruments like green bonds. I'm happy that Kathuri has talked about ABSs, the asset-backed securitization. I think that is the best way to move forward in terms of getting public money to fund these big infrastructure projects. It has worked elsewhere. It is something that if you're able to, for example, we got our tariff, and WASREP, we're glad that WASREP gave us a tariff within a very short period of time. If you're given 20 billion to reduce non-revenue, that is on infrastructure and technology, why wait for 3 years yet you can get it now? Do this, go for this small wins, reduce non-revenue, and recoup that investment. So those are some of the conversations we're already having as a company. The practical steps we are taking to reduce non-revenue water, we've installed smart meters, about 1,500 of them, to our big consumers. For example, Kenya Breweries, NYS, Nairobi Hospital, University of Nairobi, Safaricom, and this has improved our billing by 30% from those big consumers. Now, what has it done? The moment we've installed those smart meters, within 2 cycles, we've recovered the cost of the smart meter. 2 cycles only. So it tells you, if we get this big funding, we're able to be more efficient, more smart, and do better as a WSP. GIS, of course, has improved our meter reading efficiency and billing efficiency, whereby we recently received an award from ESRI East Africa during the East Africa Water Utilities Transformation Forum in Mombasa, whereby we know, and it's something we also learned from Nyeri. I'm happy to see the Nyeri water here, whereby a meter reader cannot delegate that job, whereby you're geo-tagged. So if you're 10 meters away from that meter, you cannot transmit a reading. So that is something we did not learn in benchmark in Dubai, but learned it in Nyeri. So I'm happy that we will get some lessons from Nyeri, Meru. We have gone to Eldoas. I'm happy to see my chairman from Eldoas here. So the solutions are with us. Upgrading of dilapidated networks to renew the pipelines, DMAs as it has been mentioned. For example, we have a Mirema DMA project in Roysambu, currently done in partnership with World WaterNet to localize leaks and prioritize repairs. Partnering with investors and development partners to scale digital monitoring and predictive analysis. Data analysis of customers' data, and analysis of customer credit balances. So those are some of the things that we're doing. Of course, disconnection of illegal connections and bypasses. Disconnection of Nairobi, there's some areas where you go and phone calls start coming. We know about the political pressures of the city. So these are some of the things that we need to engage in terms of comms and communicate to people why we have to do these disconnections, because you spend 20 times more. Someone in Kibera spends 20 times more for a cubic meter than we who live in maybe Kilimani or Kileleshwa. So those are some of the things that we're now doing as we rebrand the company. Yes, we need to collaborate with Treasury and the PPP. I'm happy that the PPP representative is here. And in a nutshell, NRW is not a cost, it's an investment. NRW reduction is not a cost, it's an investment. Every drop saved is revenue gained. Resilience strengthens and dignity restored. With those many remarks, I want to thank you very much. Let's continue engaging. God bless you.
Achilles is a reluctant chairman. I want to recognize CEOs of waterworks agencies before we forget them. CEOs of waterworks agencies. Kindly just stand up. Sorry. I've forgotten something. It was not that one. It is the chairman of the development partners. Please, 1 minute, you greet people.
Thank you very much, Anthony, and I think I stand on all the protocol that has been established already. I would also like to recognize the development partners that are here today. So can you stand up? Please stand up, smile, and wave. Oh, there are not that many today. I see there are the few ones. Yes, give them a hand. Thank you. But no, if a water services provider is running dry of water and need to diversify and expand the volume of the water resource, what should that WSP be doing? Should it go and ask Engineer Lima to build a big reservoir there up in the hills and a pipeline coming down? Should it be looking other places? Should it be? No, it should not. It should be looking at non-revenue water. There's no doubt that the cheapest liter of water you have is the liter of water you do not use or lose. So focus has to be here, and that's also why I'm very happy to be here today. And I can assure you that the development partners, together with all the private sector companies that are represented here today, are ready to help and support that process. Thank you.
WSPs, raise up your hand if you're an MD in the WSPs. Raise up your hand. Money is coming. Just had it. I want to recognize international guests. We have international guests before you go further. International guests, we have our people from South Africa. Let's start with the South African team just behind here, please. Plus the Acumen team. Yes. Our international guests, please. Just stand up, we give you makofi. Tuwapigie ile makofi ya Nyayo. Funga. Fungua. Moja. Mbili. Funga. Fungua. Asante sana. We have the CEC for Granton. Is he around? I've been looking for him. I've not seen him. The chair for the CECs. I've not seen him. I think I'll leave the county protocols to Governor Irungu when he comes here.
The Cabinet Secretary from the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, and allow me to write on the protocols that have been established. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leah Njeri. I am the Vice Chair of the CEC's caucus, and I just have, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the CECMs of water who are in the room, and chief officers as well. Maybe you can rise up and we recognize your presence. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for attending. In this, I have only a few things that I would like to bring to the attention of the team here. And one of them is that as a CCs who meet in the caucus, one of the things that we would call upon is to call upon the close collaboration between the WSPs and the county governments for purposes of reducing NRW. The other thing is, I know that different agencies have their mandates, but even in the execution of the mandate, it is very, very important for us to also do it in a way that we do not contribute to increasing NRW. And therefore, I wish to call upon WRA to coordinate very well with our WSPs as well as with the county government in the execution of their mandate at the county level. The other issue, the third issue as CCMs we felt is that I am very envious, we are very envious of the fact that we just came from launching Impact 18, and today we meet here to discuss about NRW, and this has to do with the urban areas. I wish we can have the same conversation. We wish as CCMs we could have the same conversation concerning our rural areas, which in many cases are not served or they are even underserved. And you know that as you talk about NRW, I want to tell you that one of the contributors of NRW is when we have, for communities that are, especially ASA, when we have to track water to communities during stressful period, and we buy the water, we get the water from the water companies, and if we do not have the resources, we'll still have to take water to our people because water is a human right. So I would wish that this could also be taken into consideration. And therefore, with those few issues, I wish to end there, and thank you very much for inviting us.
Governor Irungu, you must help us with whipping the CECs and the chief officers. Yes, I think we had that conversation with you in Mombasa, and we have it again. Tunakuomba tusaidie. Watasaidia kwa NRW. Kwa whip na NRW itapungua by 2%. Itakuwa ni nzuri. We're now going proper into the program, and then at the end, I will call the dignitaries to come. There are some gifts we need to give today, because the CS will not be available tomorrow. There are some gifts that we are going to give to number 1, 2, and 3. We will tell you who it is. And then, before that, we have just 4 more, and then we'll call it a day. And we'll start, we have our principal secretary, we have our deputy governor representing the governor, and then Governor Irungu, and then the CS and the ambassador, and we are home to dry. Please, welcome with me, CS, Water and Sanitation. Yes, oh my God. I told you, ile chai ya asubuhi, ndio hiyo chai imekataa. Governor, nisaidie na hiyo chai, hiyo. I'm sorry.
I understand he wants to close the day, so the quicker he gets to the end, the better for him. I want to recognize all the dignitaries led by our CS, Engineer Eric Muga, Governor Irungu, Deputy Governor from Nakuru, Bwana Kones, the Ambassador from Israel, Bwana Gabriel Karibu, and the CEOs, the chairman, everybody who is here, good evening. I think first, mine will be very brief. I want to first recognize the institutions within the ministry that are represented here. First, the chairman and the board members. I want you to be upstanding, those of us who are here. I'll start from chairman from KEWI. There he is. Bwana Chirchir, Chairman WASREP, the regulator. The chairman from Central Rift Valley, and the director from Central Rift Valley, chairperson from Tanadi, Madam Regina. Anybody else? I think those are, kuna chairman wa Lake Victoria North, kule nyuma, Bwana Omino. Lake Victoria South, sorry. I think those are the CEO, the chairman who are here, and the board members. The CEOs from the waterworks agencies, and also water sagas. I can see two here, three. I will start from the back. Willis Ombai, Water Sector Trust Fund at the back. Then we have CEO Douglas Murray from Central Rift Valley, CEO. And then Bwana Sami Naporos from Tanadi, Asanteni. From the ministry, there's the CEO KEWI, Bwana Letangule. The officers from the ministry, let's be all upstanding. We have the Secretary of Administration, Amos, Engineer Omaida, Head of Sanitation and Management, Engineer Samuel Alima, the Water Secretary. We have our Inspector in charge of Water Police Unit. So if you have those people who connect illegally, tuko na dawa. Alafu Engineer Chemeril kule nyuma, Asanteni, and I think others I can't see, but karibuni. So I'll want to be very quick because when the CS is here, I don't have to say much. And it is a great pleasure for me that we are here to discuss this very thorny issue on non-revenue water, which increasingly is becoming a challenge. I think when you look at the impact report that was reported the other day, while we say the revenue has grown to 32.9 billion, O&M cost coverage has also crossed 100% in aggregate for the first time, and the drinking water quality compliance stands at 96. So O&M we are supposed to be meeting, but there are those who are struggling, there are those who are making money, and they can now even leverage that additional money for more investment. So I think the utilities who are here, I'll ask you to where are you? Are you the one who has recovered your O&M, or are you the one that is still going to the governor every other month to support you to pay the salaries? I think those are the things that I would want you to ask yourself those questions. The other thing is also that in the report again, we have some pressure points that demand our attention. We're saying that the unit cost caps between water produced and water billed has widened from 44 shillings to 51 shillings per cubic meter. So you can see we are losing more water. Water connections grew by only 1.3, yet when you look at the water we are generating, it should have translated to more people. So I think this is to say that there is an inefficiency somewhere. Revenue collection efficiency has slipped to 93.82%. Why? Is because we have so many gaps that we are allowing money to go. Okay, we appreciate that the cost of electricity also has gone up and eating into our O&M, and that's why we are also recommending that we need to relook at this and see how we can invest on some, hybrid systems. As a ministry, we are actively involved in trying to see how we can attract new money into the sector so that it can support us to be able to generate more water. But it doesn't make sense for us to be looking for this money. You've heard of K-Wash, you've heard of Kenya Towns, you've heard of National Urban, all these water programs that we are going to development partners to support us is to help us increase water production so that we are able to serve our people. But it doesn't make any sense that we are bringing in this money, but we are not taking care of how we are using it. So we need to work together as utilities who becomes the custodians of those infrastructure to make sure that we are able to utilize the facilities well, recoup the costs that have gone in, and increasingly now, for all the water projects that we have done, and they were from borrowed money, we are not going to hand over as a ministry. We will run them, bill you, recoup the borrowed money, and repay the donors. Because lessons learned is that when we handed over all the utilities, all the infrastructure, utilities were eating the money and the cake, everything. So we are not able. That's why the sector has the highest loan default in the country. And that's why now we are going and saying we want now to be the people to run it. So, but we will work with the counties to support you to be able to deliver, improve efficiency, and ensure that we deliver on the mandate that we are going to work on. As we move ahead and as we focus on the non-revenue, we are also looking at technologies to reduce non-revenue. And here we are looking at smart meters, GIS, and also satellite leakage detection technologies, district metering areas, and automated billing systems and real-time data analytics so that we can be able to detect leaks and in time and be able to address it. So that's why we have a partner here who has come from South Africa, and we want to see how we can deploy that technology to support us. And we will be clustering counties in terms of metropolis so that we are able to address. And the initial focus will be on the large metropolis, because you find that in Kenya, about 70% of water is Nairobi metropolis. All the water produced is around Nairobi. So if this is where we are losing more, if we reduce the loss there, then we will have addressed the bigger challenge of non-revenue. So as a ministry, we will work together with the counties on how to reduce the non-revenue, and all what we want to urge the utilities and the county governments is let's work together. At least we have a partnership. You've seen the national government with Nairobi County looking at the entire infrastructure area, and water is one of them. We want to replicate that cooperation framework into the rest, and particularly now focusing on water, so that we are able to give our people quality water in adequate amounts and in regular times. So with those many remarks, I just want to again appreciate us and wish us a good conference. Thank you.
I've taken some tea, so and I've remembered some things. Some of the things I've remembered is that we have sponsors. So sponsors, please, I will recognize you. I have now taken tea. Now, how many of you have been to the exhibition? Down there, the exhibition. Let me tell you for free. If there's anything you're going to miss, is if you don't enter inside there. The amount of work that has gone behind those, some of you are just seeing those teardrops. There's a lot of science there, and a lot of experience there, and a lot of knowledge, and a lot of data that you can get from there. So I urge you, from now, even our tea now we have put it inside. So if you want tea, like the one I needed for me to get, you have, sumnasikia hata sauti imeongezeka sasa. Ni dawa ya chai ndo nimepata. Tushukuru Mungu. I want to take this opportunity to request, after this, just go to the exhibitions, and you'll see so much, and hear so much, and learn so much. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the Deputy Governor of Nakuru County, on behalf of the Governor Susan Kihika, to come and welcome us, and also make a few remarks.
Engineer Eric Muga, Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Your Excellency the Ambassador, State of Israel to Kenya, Your Excellency the Governor Laikipia, Mr. Julius Korir, Principal Secretary, State Department of Water and Sanitation, Development Partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You know, I'm trying to look at you because my friend was saying you missed the tea in the morning, but allow me to welcome you to Nakuru County on behalf of Her Excellency, the Governor Susan Kihiga, who was supposed to be here with us this afternoon, but because of other engagement, she requested me to be here with you and welcome you to Nakuru County. And I'm going to read the speech because she was supposed to be here, so I'm reading the speech on her behalf. And CS, feel more welcome. You know, I was a teacher. So CS, feel more welcome to Nakuru County. So I'm reading the speech of Her Excellency the Governor. Karibuni sana to Nakuru, the county of unlimited opportunities. It is both an honor and pleasure to welcome you to the beautiful shores of Lake Naivasha, one of our greatest natural treasures. Beyond its breathtaking beauty, this lake is the livelihood of countless families, a driver of economic growth, and a critical source of water for homes, farms, industries, and businesses. There could be no more fitting place for us to come together and reflect on the future of water management in our country. I'm delighted that we are gathered here for this important non-revenue water management conference under the timely theme, leveraging technology and innovations. At a time when the demand for clean water continues to grow and climate-related pressures become more pronounced, innovation is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. If we are to safeguard our water resources and ensure sustainable service delivery, reducing water losses and improving efficiency must remain at the center of our efforts. The latest regulatory data paints a sobering picture. Kenya's national non-revenue water level has now reached 48%. This means that almost half of all the water produced, treated, and distributed across the country is lost before it reaches paying customers. Whether through aging infrastructure, leakages, faulty meters, or illegal connections, these losses represent more than lost revenue. They translate into missed opportunities to extend water services, improve reliability, and enhance the quality of life for millions of Kenyans. In Nakuru County, our average non-revenue water currently stands at 29%, according to the latest Water Services Regulatory Board. While this performance is significantly better than the national average, we know there is still room for improvement. For us, reducing water losses is not simply about meeting regulatory targets. Nakuru is naturally water scarce, and like many other counties, we do not enjoy the advantage of large permanent rivers flowing across our landscape. Instead, we depend heavily on underground aquifers, boreholes, springs, and water transferred from neighboring catchments. Every liter of water requires significant investment to abstract, treat, and distribute. Losing that water through leakages or theft is a luxury we simply cannot afford. Ladies and gentlemen, across Nakuru County, water coverage currently stands at 63%. While we are encouraged by the progress made over the years, we remain conscious that many families, particularly in rural and peri-urban areas, still lack reliable access to safe water. Our experience has shown that focused investment deliver meaningful results. Within Nakuru City and the surrounding urban areas,
sustained improvements have increased water coverage to approximately 90%. Our commitment now is to ensure that residents in every corner of the county enjoy the same level of service regardless of where they live. To accelerate this progress, we continue to work closely with the national government and our development partners on transformative water infrastructure projects. We are particularly grateful for the KFW-funded Lake Nakuru Biodiversity Project, which is adding an additional 20,000 cubic meters of water per day into our supply system. Equally important is the successful bulk water transfer from Chemususu Dam, which is already delivering 6,000 cubic meters of clean water daily to residents of Rongai and Kiamunyi, who have waited for many years for reliable water services. As we continue to advocate for the completion of the Itara Dam project, we remain optimistic about the immense impact it will have once operational. With an expected capacity of 100,000 cubic meters per day, the project will significantly strengthen Nakuru's domestic and industrial water supply while supporting the county's long-term economic growth. However, increasing water production alone is not enough. Expanding supply without addressing losses within the distribution network would amount to wasting valuable public resources. That is why we adopted a deliberate data-driven approach built on strong partnerships, modern technology, and accountable governance. Through the Nakuru Water and Sanitation Services Company, NAWASCO, together with our rural water service providers, we have invested heavily in modern solutions that are already delivering measurable results. More than 15,000 smart water meters have been installed across Nakuru City and neighboring towns, allowing us to monitor consumption in real time and quickly identify anomalies. Advanced acoustic leak detection equipment and geographic information system have dramatically improved our ability to locate underground leaks before they escalate into major losses. We have also established district metered areas, replaced more than 120 kilometers of aging pipelines, and strengthened collaboration with local administrators to curb illegal connections and water theft. These deliberate investments are yielding impressive outcomes. I'm proud to know that NAWASCO has been ranked by WASREP as the top performing water utility in Kenya, a remarkable achievement that reflects the dedication of our teams and our unwavering commitment to excellency in service delivery. By reducing operational losses and improving efficiency, we are saving millions of shillings every year, resources that are being reinvested into expanding and strengthening our water infrastructure. Most importantly, these improvements have enabled more than 25,000 additional families to enjoy a more reliable and consistent supply of clean water. Looking ahead, our ambition is clear. We are determined to reduce average non-revenue water to well below 25% by the year 2030, in line with Kenya's Vision 2030 aspirations. Achieving this will require continued investment in smart metering across all urban centers, greater use of predictive artificial intelligence to detect leaks before they occur, and stronger partnerships with industries, particularly around Naivasha, to promote water recycling and sustainable water use. Ladies and gentlemen, securing Kenya's water future is a responsibility that belongs to all of us. It requires close collaboration between the national government, county governments, regulators, water service providers, development partners, the private sector, and our communities. Every drop of water we save translates into better services, stronger utilities, lower operational costs, and improved livelihoods for our people. Allow me to express my sincere appreciation to everyone gathered here today, our ministries, regulators, water utilities, researchers, innovators, and development partners for your continued commitment to strengthening Kenya's water sector. I encourage us to use this conference not only as a platform for exchanging ideas, but also as an opportunity to forge practical partnership and commit ourselves to build bold, innovative solutions that will shape the future of water management in our country. Thank you once again for choosing Nakuru as your host. I wish you fruitful deliberations and an enjoyable stay in a beautiful county. Thank you, Her Excellency Susan Kihiga, EGH, Governor, Nakuru County.
That's a brilliant speech, isn't it? You loved it? I can see you nodding. So we have another one now coming. But before that, may I appreciate my predecessor, Mr. Anthony Ambugo in WASPA. For you to be in WASPA, you must be Anthony. The man, the smartest man in the room. Anthony Ambugo. Please put your hands together. We stand on his shoulders. He was the first CEO, so we call him CEO Emeritus. Sisi tunanyenyekea, tunakula matunda yake. Allow me to welcome the governor who is in charge of Water and Sanitation Committee of the COG, Governor Laikipia, Governor Joshua Irungu. Karibu, Governor.
The Cabinet Secretary of the State Department of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, my brother Engineer Eric Mugaa, our PS of Water and Sanitation, our development partners, my brother the Deputy Governor of Nakuru, Your Excellency Israel Ambassador to Kenya, all representatives from WASPA, WASLEB, WSTF, Waterworks, development agencies and private sector, chairpersons and managing directors of water service providers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening. God is good at all the time. I know I'm not new in the water sector, having served in these forums for many years. And therefore today you allow me not to engage much, but spare more of time to our chief guest today to engage from the heart. For the ones who never attended the WASLEB Impact 18, I admired how our CS engaged from the heart on that time and specifically spoke on non-revenue water. And therefore today, you will allow me not to engage more, but today I'm also not going to lead the speech of the chair of the Water Caucus, but I will do so for the council on behalf of the chair of the Council of Governors. So what I'll speak on behalf of all the Council of Governors. I'll speak as the chair of the Caucus of Water in another forum, so that we can be able to speak, and particularly to a forum of water service providers. Again, as much as it has been requested to protect our water service board, I also want to, for this room, if there is anything I would want to do after my exit from 1st September, it's only to defend and ring-fence Engineer Eric Mugaa to continue being the CS Water Emeritus forever and ever, because this is the best guy we have ever had. Since devolution, I've engaged many, but allow me just to say this on behalf of the Council of Governors. It gives me great pleasure to join you today at this important non-revenue water management conference 2026. On behalf of the Council of Governors, I wish to commend the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, WASLEB, though WASLEB many other times you carry the blame, but I will mention briefly and clarify a point that was raised about WASLEB. Our county government representatives that are here, our water utilities, development partners, and all sector stakeholders for convening this timely forum. This conference comes at a critical moment for our country. Kenya continues to face increasing pressure on water resources due to rapid urbanization, climate change, aging infrastructure, population growth, and rising demand for clean and safe water. Yet, even as counties invest heavily in water infrastructure, a substantial amount of treated water never reaches the consumer or fails to generate revenue. That is the challenge of non-revenue water. Ladies and gentlemen, non-revenue water is not merely a technical issue, as has been mentioned by many. It is an economic issue, a governance issue, a climate issue, and ultimately a development issue. Every liter of water lost through leakages, illegal connections, meter inaccuracies, or poor billing systems represents lost opportunity for households, industries, farmers, and institutions that desperately need reliable water supply. According to recent WASLEB sector reports, Kenya's national non-revenue water average starts at approximately 48%, up from 44% previously. This means that nearly half of all treated water produced by our utilities that does not generate revenue. The financial implications are enormous. I also want to recognize that as much as we discuss about 48% of non-revenue, this is treated water, and that's where we need to differentiate. This is treated water, and therefore you'd ask yourself other questions. How much other waters, volumes of water that is tapped from the catchment, from the mountains, and from all other protected areas, but is not accounted for? How much of that is lost in the process? The water sector is estimated to lose over 10 billion annually due to non-revenue water. These are resources that could otherwise expand water access, improve sewerage systems, rehabilitate infrastructure, and strengthen service delivery across our counties. In practical terms, this lost water could supply millions of Kenyans with clean water every year. Ladies and gentlemen, county governments recognize that reducing non-revenue water is one of the fastest and most cost-effective ways of increasing water availability without necessarily developing new water sources. Indeed, the cheapest water is the water we do not lose. I'm encouraged by the progress being made in several counties and utilities across the country. We have examples demonstrating that with leadership, technology, investments, and accountability, significant reductions in non-revenue water are achievable. For example, Nyeri Water, who we are always proud of, has consistently emerged among the best performing utilities in Kenya due to strong investments in smart metering, pressure management, active leakage control, and customer accountability systems. Similarly, several utilities are now embracing district metered areas, GIS mapping, SCADA systems, digital billing platforms, and real-time monitoring technologies to detect losses and improve operational efficiency. These innovations must now move from isolated success stories to national best practice. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Council of Governors, we reaffirm our commitments to supporting counties and utilities in the following 5 strategic areas. First, strengthening governance and accountability in the county water utilities. Water service providers must operate with professionalism, integrity, and sound corporate governance, and particularly now that WASLEB developed corporate governance regulations. Boards and management teams must be appointed on merit and held accountable for performance outcomes, including non-revenue reduction targets. Second, increasing investment in rehabilitation and modernization of infrastructure. Many of our water networks are old, overstretched, and poorly maintained. In some towns, pipes installed over 40 years ago continue to serve rapidly growing populations. Counties must prioritize replacement of aging infrastructure and modernization of distribution systems. Third, embracing technology and innovation. Digital transformation is no longer optional. Smart meters, automated bearing systems, pressure sensors, satellite leak detection, and data analytics must become standard tools in water management. Fourth, strengthening partnerships. The non-revenue water shortage cannot be solved by government alone. We need stronger collaborations with development partners, research institutions, private sector innovators, and communities. Public-private partnerships will be critical in mobilizing financing, technical expertise, and operational efficiencies necessary for non-revenue water reduction. And fifth, enhancing community engagement and consumer responsibility. And I think this is one, Chief Guest, this is one of the forum that you need to engage on this, particularly when now you bring community engagement when you are talking about tariff, when you are talking about non-revenue, community engagement is critical. And allow me, CS, just to mention on this aspect of community engagement. WASLEB does not set the tariff. They don't set the tariff. The tariff comes from the WSP, the proposal of the tariff. So where it goes wrong, even in politics, is just inadequate community engagement at that point. And that's why we allow the politics to get in, almost to make water free, and trying to advocate that water can be free. Water will never be free. It is not sold, but is only meeting the cost of delivering that water. Illegal connections, federalism, and meter bypasses continue to undermine sustainability in many counties. Communities must understand that protecting water infrastructure is a shared responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, as governors, we are particularly concerned about the impact of non-revenue water on climate resilience and water security. Kenya is already experiencing prolonged droughts, erratic rainfall patterns, and shrinking water catchments. We therefore cannot afford to lose almost half of the water treated through inefficiencies. Reducing non-revenue water is not only about improving utility finances, it is about safeguarding our future. Every cubic meter saved contributes to sustainable water access, food security, public health, and economic growth. The Council of Governors, therefore, supports the national target of reducing non-revenue water levels to below 20% in line with the Vision 2030 and sector reform strategies. To achieve this ambition, counties will continue to work closely with the national government and sector institutions to develop county-specific non-revenue reduction strategies, strengthen utility performance contracts, and expand investment in metering and network rehabilitation, improve data quality and reporting systems, and build technical capacity within county water entities. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me also to appreciate the efforts of the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation for continued sector support and the allocation of resources towards non-revenue water management programs. Government budgetary allocations towards non-revenue water reduction initiatives demonstrate growing national commitment to addressing this challenge. I also recognize the important role played by WASLEB in performance monitoring and benchmarking utilities. Such accountability mechanisms are helping drive sector reforms and operational improvements. And as I conclude, let me emphasize this. Water is life. But water without efficiency is unsustainable. The future of our water sector will only depend not only on how much water we produce, but also on how effectively we manage every drop. This conference should therefore produce actionable solutions, practical partnerships, and measurable commitments that will accelerate reduction of non-revenue water across all counties. And I really appreciate the remarks by the chair of WASPA. Let us move from discussion to implementation. Let us move from losses to sustainability. Let us move from inefficiency to innovation. Together, we can build resilient, efficient, and financially sustainable water utilities that guarantee every Kenyan access to clean and reliable water services. And with those few remarks, I wish you fruitful deliberations and successful conference. And therefore, at this juncture, I just want to reiterate some few to respond on one or two questions. One is on the security of tenure for the MDs. This is an area that houses most of the water companies. And particularly when the water companies boards or the water company MD is tagged to the life of a governor or a political regime, it haunts our companies, and the sustainability of our water companies is compromised. And therefore, CS through the water sector, WASLEB, I think this is the high time we need to come up with a regulatory or a regulation on how to safeguard the 5 years we talk about for what MDs. How do we ring-fence that? As we ring-fence that timeline or the period a member of MD should serve, again, we also need to ring-fence the revenue that is generated by the water companies. Because many are the times that you find the revenue generated from the tariff that has been set is also diverted to do other water work, other infrastructure roads and all that. And therefore, it is never become cost-effective for most of our water utilities. And lastly is on the issue of cost recovery tariff. It's just important for all of us to know, and I'm sure I don't want to labor so much for IMDs and the boards, that you should be in the line, in the front line when you are talking about tariff setting. And that's the reason I would want to set aside the WASLEB, because they come and provide technical support and guidance on how you can cost the water supply or the water delivery service. And that water, the moment you don't meet that cost for that water delivery, then somebody else must come on board to chip in that cost that is incurred to deliver the water. And therefore, any water company that is not they don't have a cost recovery tariff, they will never be sustainable. And they will compromise issues like non-revenue water, and many other things. And therefore, a cost recovery tariff should be one of the agendas that need to be discussed, Chairman of WASPA. And I think this should be one of the areas that all the water companies that don't have a cost recovery tariff need to be prioritized. And even if it's a conference of a discussion between them and their governors or their CEC, need to happen. Otherwise, we'll be coming for forums, conferences, but again, the status quo continue remaining. And therefore, for me, I think I wish all of you the best. And I take note, Chair, I take note that CEC, probably they have just come in. Can I recognize the CEC again? Probably they have just come in. Can I recognize the CC again? And now I'm speaking as the chair of the Council of Governors, not as the governor I keep here. Cabinet Secretary, we have 3. We have for Leah. Leah Jerry is from the county government of Laikipia. Of course, she would not have dared not to come because she knows that I'm a water man. Let me recognize you. Kwale. Kwale, I recognize the CC. Kwale, thank you. Nairobi, thank you for your coming. And I think this is high time, Faisha, Caucus, Faisha Leah, I think this is high time that in the next caucus of the CEC on water, invite me. I need to whip them because they missed this forum and they also missed the WASLAB during the impact. They only came about 15 of them. I need to come and whip as directed by and requested by the CEC. At that forum, I will invite the Waziri to come over and also have a word with you people. With that, God bless you and do you good. And I'm not allowed, according to Jalaba, I'm not fit and I'm not equal to CS, and therefore allow me to sit down and allow Jalaba to invite the CS. Thank you, God bless you.
I think if there is one man with trouble today, it is me. But you know what the Bible says? That man born of a woman, man born of a woman is what? Is full of trouble. So as long as you are born of a woman, you are full of trouble. So anyway, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord shall deliver me. Say many amen. Ongeza amen tena. Ongeza amen juu. I want to invite officially, not the CS, but the ambassador of the Republic of Israel to come and make his remarks. Please put your hands together for ambassador.
Shalom. I'm Jambo. How are you today? Wonderful. I'm really delighted to see such a big room full of people that came for a water conference. You are tackling one of the most important issues on earth today because we are living today in a world water crisis. There is a water crisis globally. And if you see how many seas and rivers and lakes are disappearing everywhere in the world today, you realize how important your work here today is. Very important. So I want to say, asanteni sana kwa kazi mzuri sana. Cabinet Secretary Engineer Eric Muga, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Deputy Governor of Nakuru, the WASPA leadership, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with a personal story about non-revenue water. You know, I'm here about 1 year and I left back in Israel my apartment. And about 10 days ago, I received an email from the water company in Israel telling me, Mr. Bechar, most likely there is a water leak in your apartment. And I said, oh, my goodness, could be. I made a phone call to my son, David, another David here today, and I told him, David, there is a water leak in the apartment. Go and check it. But first, you know, you have to make sure that all the taps are closed, the laundry machine is not working, dishwasher is not working. Make sure everything is closed and go upstairs to the meter and check if the meter is running. So he went upstairs, he told me, he calls me, Father, yeah, I've done everything, the meter is running. I told him, okay, there is a leak. Go find it. He went around in the garden, in the house, come back, he didn't find the leak. I told him, go up again. Is the meter working? He told me, yes, the meter is saying we are losing 8 liters of water per hour. I told him, wow, that's a lot, 8 liters. The leak can also increase, it's only the beginning. Go check again. Finally, he went up and he found the drip irrigation was leaking somewhere. So we found it, and it's not the first time actually that I receive messages from the water company where I live telling me there is a leak. And they do it, it's the service. Now, you should ask yourself, how do they know that there is a leak in my apartment? The answer is very simple, because the meter in every apartment in Israel is a digital one. So they know exactly my water consumption. They know, for instance, that if at 2 or 3 o'clock at the night, there is water consumption, something must be wrong with my apartment. They know exactly how much water I use, when I use, etc. And this is very helpful. They have also an application, an app. I can see here, from here, my water consumption at home in Israel, daily, weekly, monthly. I can compare it to last year, to last month, and make the necessary improvements to reduce my water consumption. This is not rocket science, this is just very simple things. Now, Israel is known for water. I will not be wrong saying that it is one of the most leading countries in the world when it comes to water. Now, it hasn't been like that forever. Some 25, 30 years ago, we were in the middle of a water crisis. The population was growing. Droughts were reoccurring and reoccurring. And we were depleting our aquifers. The aquifers were getting drier, salinized, empty. We had to do something. And then the government took 2 decisions. One was to move strategically to desalination. And the second one was to treat every sewage, every wastewater in Israel. Today, we treat 96, 97%, practically everything. All sewage in Israel is collected and treated and used for agriculture. This is a world record. Now, many times when I say this, I don't say it with a feeling of pride. Why? Because I want every country in the world to have the same record. The water that we lose are global water. They are not only national water. They belong to all of us, and it's for the benefit of our globus that we will save every drop of water. So what's happening in Israel today? We desalinate seawater about today 600 million cubic meters, and we add more facilities, desalination facilities. Then we take this water to the cities, we use them in the cities. We collect this water, treat them, and reuse them in agriculture. 50% of agriculture in Israel is irrigated agriculture. This is, in my opinion, another world record. We then eat this water because they come to our plate as cucumbers, as tomatoes, as other vegetables and fruits. So this is a real cycle. This is a circular water economy, almost a closed circular one. This is also very amazing in my opinion. You know, the water system in Israel is a closed system. I can pump, Israel is a small state, this is an advantage, okay? I can pump water in Tel Aviv and drink it in Jerusalem or drink it in Haifa. It's a closed circle. The price of water, and there is price for water. Water is not for free. The price for water is equal for every citizen in the state of Israel. It doesn't matter where they live and how much were the costs for the government to produce this water. So everyone has the chance to get water. So water is everywhere. I want to say that there are a strong relationship between Kenya and Israel, and we really want to increase this relationship. also in the field of water. And I'm very happy to announce that we will establish a water forum, Kenya-Israel Water Forum, that will start next year, that will bring together experts on water from Israel and Kenya, scientists, researchers, private sector, etc., and that we are also planning a study trip of people from Kenya to Israel. So there is a lot to be done. I want to say Mungu akubariki, Mungu abariki Kenya, na Mungu abariki Israel, asanteni sana, and kwaherini, mara ingine. Sorry, I have the honor and privilege to invite Cabinet Secretary Engineer Eric Mugua, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Karibu.
Najua aliniambia lazima uanze kwa kufunga kakuti. No, for us, those who are thin, mambo ni ngumu. Si ni kweli? Can we please stand up? Naona tumechoka. Do we have WASPA CEO? Did you factor to bring in wale watu wa yoga in this meeting? Tuko na DJ? No, we need to swing kidogo. Naona tumekaa sana. I don't know whether the ambassador understands what I'm saying. Swing kidogo. Swing kidogo. Okay? Bacon friends, itaye kidogo. Unajua nikiwa shule nilikuwa mtu wa hii maneno. I should have become a PE teacher. Si ni kweli? Aya left. Aya right. Aya on the side. Aya kuwa chopa, wewe sasa ni chopa. Aya, asante sana, tukae chini. I would have asked you to sing. Unfortunately, some of us only sing in a group, not in a choir. If you sing in a choir, and it happens you have this voice is not found in the piano, you stand out. Si ni kweli? And then you kill the rhythm of the music. And that one is very painful, especially for someone trying to market himself in the digital market. Watu watasikiza YouTube kidogo and then you disappear. Allow me to take this opportunity to first of all appreciate everyone here. Our host, DG David Kones. It is an honor. I think we have engaged several times. Governor Irungu is one of us. He has now earned his name, a waterman. Why not a water woman? I don't know. Because now we say gender is fluid, a lot of things. Also, Balozi Gideon, I know we have engaged severally in my office. And I'm looking forward to the birth of that engagement between Kenya and Israel. As a practitioner of this craft, I also pride myself as someone who took some lessons in Israel during my formative years on matters water. Sasa mimi hayo mambo naelewa what you're saying. I would have welcomed the opportunity for these great people here to also learn from the same scripts and share best practice. We have our development partners here. My friends, you are part of that will. You make this ministry move, and we are really grateful about that. Jorgen and your team, I am proud to be associated and work with you. Tafadhali tuongezeni mfuko so that the ministry becomes heavier on matters investment. You see, also I have a responsibility of resource mobilizing. So whenever I get an opportunity to push that pocket a little bit further, I grab it with both hands. And that's exactly what I'm doing. We have the waterworks agencies, the CEZ, mawaziri wenzangu at the Jimbo level. We have our friends, WSPs. You are the line of defense. You are the link between ourselves and our customers. You are the people who actually determine whether we are breaking even as a ministry or not. You are the engines that drive the response from the customers. Nikipigiwa simu, nisikie huku Shamahoho, hakuna maji, I exactly know the water service provider there is not on the ground. And that I really value. And that's why every opportunity I get to engage you, I take it with both hands. The unfortunate thing is, whenever I take an opportunity to engage the water service providers and this water family that is before me, I sometimes have a lot of things to say. But today, I know we are tired. Jaramba indicated that there was even some tea skipped. Welcome to my life. I keep skipping it. Ndio maana unaona venye niko. I've also skipped lunch just to be here. Sasa sina nguvu. Lakini tunangangana. But I am very much encouraged by the attendance. Kila mtu ajipigie makofi. It is very rare to sit people of our age in a room for more than 4 hours. We started at around 2:30, and I can see we are headed to 6. So asanteni sana for your patience. But now, because I tailor my message based on my audience, allow me to start with the basics that have been said, and I won't belabor the point. This is a non-revenue water conference. We had a very embarrassing situation last time, that the 5 counties I am investing so much heavily on the Horn of Africa did not attend the WASREB impact report. Tafadhali, are they here today? Jaramba, you tell me. Not yet? Anyone from my 5 counties where I am plugging in about more than 13? Is it 13? 13.5 billion. The counties of the Horn of Africa, border counties for groundwater resilience program, the county of Wajir, the county of Mandera, the county of Marsabit, the county of Turkana, and the county of Garissa. Anyone in attendance? Tafadhali simama. Hey, finally bwana. Finally bwana. And for your information, I called your seniors to check whether you had taken leave to attend the WASREB impact report. Do you want to know the answers I got? Or do I need to? Is that information necessary to share in this forum? Is it? As many as of that opinion, say aye. Kumechamuka kidogo. Kumefanya nini? Which county do you come from? Wajir? For those standing? Wajir? Not yet. Marsabit? There is no Marsabit. And WASPA tells me the county of Marsabit is here. Ameenda kunywa chai? Ameenda kunywa chai? Turkana? Turkana, sit down. Isiolo? Marsabit? Garissa? Guys, where do you come from? Mandera? Elwak. Aya, asanteni. You can see my message go to them. Next time, and even after today, I'll check those other 2 counties and ask their governors whether they actually took leave, applied for facilitation to be in this forum. And I'll give you the reports. Do we agree on that? We need to know that water is a serious agenda, especially now that we are fighting the non-revenue water. What should I say about non-revenue water? I found the World Bank here presenting about non-revenue water. Our experts, fund managers, our friends from Tanzania, finally, we are benchmarking from there. From Tanzania, our friends from the private sector, our development partners, all took their positions to explain that what we are looking at as a problem is actually an opportunity. And I am sad whenever I push the water service provider or an agency to reduce non-revenue water, because I am worried maybe the man on the steering wheel does not understand I am telling him to grab an opportunity with both hands that can serve the nation today and years to come. And today, because we are speaking numbers, I also came armed with numbers. Correct? 48%. And because I realize most of you just took 48% at the face value, you know, I'll tell a joke. A dervish. How many people know who is a dervish? Dervish. D-E-R-V-I-S. Our friends from Europe, maybe you can help me out here. Assume I'm a villager. Kizungu ni ngumu kidogo. Do you know who is a Sufi? Sufi. Come on, my friends from Islamic religions. That example will not work. I would have given it. It's a very nice example. Whereby there are people who actually read the message from the face value. So a certain teacher of the law, one day in his class, told his students there are 3 levels to understanding the message from the tutor. There are those who just get the face value and they're okay with that. And to them it is black and white. There's another level below the face value for those who just go out, internalize, mull over it, digest. And there's another level, the third level below that, where even the tutor himself cannot describe. Those are the guys who look at the message, understand the message, critique the message, and from that message, choose either to live with it or to ignore the message. But that position, it's like a river within a river, cannot be explained to someone who took the message on the face value. 48% non-revenue water is regulated water. My friends, regulated water, where WASREB can access and collect information. All the other abstractions, I'm trying to get now to the second level. From the face, now we are going to the second level. All the other abstractions, those guys are not sitting here. Those on the second level of abstraction. Because they don't belong to a water service provider. They don't care whether theirs is treated or not, but it is still abstracted from the catchment, not rivers, bwana, catchment. Sasa, you are the water family, alafu, do we just abstract from the rivers, bwana? Namna gani? Alima, I thought this is the water family. All those others are not enumerated. I looked at the presentation, one of the presentations here, quantified the unaccounted for water, not in WASREB's books, and said that we lose more than 30 billion. More than 30 billion. The ministry budget this year is around 47 billion, give or take. That is inclusive of what our friends from development partners give us, inclusive of grants, inclusive of concessional funding, and inclusive of our own tax money. Ile pesa wewe na mimi tunakatwa, then it comes as the part of the GOK into our pockets. 47 billion. Hata nikiweka ya kina devolved units, which is around 400 and something, then you share it among 10 ministries. Say 50, 55 billion, the one that comes to the water family. And it pains me a lot because now I have, and the ministry will have to take very, very unpopular but very beneficial decisions to moving forward. And this is what I will explain in the next 3-4 minutes. One, our agencies. The agencies are the water works development agencies. Only 2, that is the Coast Water and AVI, are licensed as bulk water service providers. Only 2. And why is that? Why is that? Today I sat in the engagement of the Nairobi Metropolitan Framework discussion on matters water in the morning with Governor Sakaja. That was chaired by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Excellency Musalia Mudavadi. And what has come out is, since AVI being licensed as a bulk water service provider, the chairman of chairmen, on the account of forming a WhatsApp group, did I get it correct? I don't want to get you in trouble. You know, Tom might overthrow you and wonder, the young man, how dare you? That man has a bulk water tariff billing by the agency. And why are we talking about bulk water licensing is because now, please, is because now we need to have redundancies in checking the non-revenue water first. Number 2, we have loans. We have funding that was directed to the ministry and it requires to be repaid. Number 3, to wake us, it's a jolt to wake us up to the fact that water that has been conduited from the catchment to the convenience of your home in Gigiri, Yogen, to the convenience of your home in the urban city is not free. And I say this, as Waswahili husema mchana peupe. Mchana peupe. In broad daylight. We are in the effort of ensuring that all agencies become bulk water service providers. And our bulk tariff is as affordable as they come. In the coast, we are charging around 34 shillings per cubic meter. My friend from Thika, what's it your tariff? Daktari, what is your tariff per cubic? The average is 74 shillings. Have a seat. And the highest is 110. Please, have a seat. Irungu, what is your tariff? We are here to converse. We are not here to. This is a water family, so we are speaking as a family. What is your tariff? $72, $114, rural and urban, correct? Now, the reason why we need to license all water agencies to become bulk water service providers is because the moment the county governments start knowing that we are reading a common meter, I won't belabor the points of reducing sanitary revenue water. All of us here know. It was said in this platform, there is no one here who does not know how measures, opportunities that are there to reduce non-revenue water. Is that the moment the CEO or the MD is aware that we are reading a common, digital, smart, electromagnetic bulk meter, where the agency immediately hands over water to the county government, and by county government I mean the water service provider, and the billing of the agency to the water service provider will be based on that common water meter, which is jointly read as it happens in Adi and in the coast. Maybe the MD will know that at the end of the month he will have a bill. This is a very unfortunate truth and fact that we have to face. And that bill is meant for two things. First, it will ensure the operations and maintenance of the bulk system is done aptly, precisely, and on time. So we won't have a conveyance system that is not working. Two, it will ensure assets salvage. Mzima pipeline, I have a pipe of 1952, as I said last time. 1952, how many were born? Please do not lift your hand. This is a public gathering. 1952. If we had a bulk tariff back in the day, and someone ring-fencing that money for operations and maintenance, asset renewal, and contingency funds, I am sure, I have no doubt in my mind, even if that bulk tariff was 10 shillings, that pipeline, as of today, would have been replaced. Ukweli, urongo. It's a very painful pill to swallow. Number two, the resources are ring-fenced now. All the debts, and an investor has sat here and said when they look at the balance sheet of the ministry, the legacy debts are still weighing heavily on our balance sheets. That balance sheet would have been lighter. Ukweli urongo. Number three, the future of conservation of catchments. Someone would have been very keen to ensure that the source does not dry up. The forests are regenerated. Our catchments are fenced. Our springs are protected. And that would make sure that we have a heritage not only for ourselves, but for our future generations. This is a conversation that is very painful, but it has to be held. And a time has come for us to think about that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, at your respective water service providers, that conversation is coming. Tom, that conversation is coming, and it is time to have it. That is the first thing. The second thing, tariffs. It's a very political position, very political discussion. I want to make it very clear because I've seen a man from Goma, I'm not victimizing you, sir, I'm giving you as an example, that you stood up and talked about, what is your name, big man? I like your nice coat. Have a seat. Boy, Kimiti. Kibiti. Thank you, sir. You are a TM MD or you are the chair of the board. Maybe your CEO is not telling the truth, the MD. Sit down, let me elaborate it. Tariffs, and there are two types of tariffs. There is having a tariff just to be told that you have a tariff. And there is having a tariff that is cost recovery. And chair, allow me, as you represent two other chairs, you know chairs are political people. You have to address them with a lot of decorum. Otherwise, they can impeach the MD, correct? Sinukweli. I will also mention about that, as you know, we are having a conversation here. Tariffs are initiated. If you read the Water Services Regulations, 2025, tariffs are initiated at the county government. And key among that engagement is not the board sitting and deciding we want a tariff of X amount of money per cubic meter at this band, 1 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 20. It is a stakeholder engagement. You must talk to, do an economic survey of your people. You cannot charge people what they cannot afford to pay. Secondly, you must have stakeholder engagements. Call the consumers to a meeting. Call the leaders to a meeting. Call yourself to a meeting and have a candid conversation about your tariff. How much can these people pay? And that is why we have two types of companies. A wise county will have an urban water service provider and a rural water service provider. Their tariffs, as you have heard, evidence kwa kalatas by the governor here, as they say in Kenya, is the tariff, one is 70 something, the other is 114. The difference is ability to pay. Economic status. When that conversation is held and consensus is built at the county government and at the water service level, you escalate this to WASREB. Many people, WASREB has been slang, mad slang, for factors that are beyond their control. But they are there to advise you and to walk you through the process. Pumping counties. Unfortunately, no one applies which county to be born. Sasa sisi watu wa mashambani tungeapply kuzaliwa wapi? Si ni kweli? Those of us who don't speak Swahili like Jaramba, because we come, wanasema sisi ni watu wa bara, maybe tungeapply tuzaliwa mahali wanaongea nini? Kiswahili. And the topography of our counties. This is my moment. Have a seat. You had your moment. The man had his moment, correct? The second thing is the topography of your area should never be a deterrent to your water supply. One, the cost recovery tariff has 4 components. 1, operations. 2, maintenance. 3, money to expand. And 4, there is a WRA component to maintain catchment, and also you have a component for loan repayment. If you reverse your resources, a cost recovery tariff, then you can have hybrid systems. And also the government is working hard to support, case in point, the case of Mombasa, where I have installed, the government has installed a 4.3 megawatt pumping station at Baricho to alleviate the high pumping costs. Solar system that was coming to 60 to 70 million, now they are paying between 42 and 46 million every month. So you need to work hand in hand with your water agency, and you yourself have skin in that game. But first of all, your main threat is non-revenue water. If you are losing 40% of what you are abstracting, friends, ladies and gentlemen, you will live complaining of how the terrain is unfair, of how the pumping costs are high. But in the modern world, those things are surmountable if you want it. My fourth point of this discussion, technology, ladies and gentlemen. When I look at here, I can see director is holding an iPhone something. Good people here are holding good phones. If they want to go now, if you have never come to Naivasha here, some of you knew this place because of their Google Maps, correct? How many? It's not, ni sawa tu. Ni wangapi walitumia Google Maps leo? Or yesterday as they were coming here? Please lift your hand. Don't look at them. Are you telling me everyone here knew about this place? Am I the only one who did not know about this place? It is okay not to know, because not all of us are born in Nakuru County, correct? If you can find a pinpoint location using your phone, can't our meter readers use the same technology, GSM enabled, and we make our works easy? What happened to our ArcGIS, ArcGIS, and our friends from the geospatial engineering departments? We have a lot of resources in these water service providers. And allow me, CECs, to say that we only have not empowered them. We only do not know the true value of what they can bring to that company. And that comes down to governance. It's a cyclic game. It's a cyclic loop. If the MD, the vision carrier of that water company, has no idea how to run that water company, no matter how good, even if Alima was your technical manager, utazama tu. Alima, I am using you because I know you are the oldest in the profession here, especially in the ministry, experience-wise. Even if my good man from Thika is your TM, utafanya nini? Utazama. That also touches the issue of security. Tena. The MD lives walking on eggshells. Is that true? Is it by a show of hands or by nod of head? Unajua, a show of hand you might be marked. Just nod your head. Is that true? I see a lot of heads nodding. The MDs live at the mercy of the chair and boards. I hope chair from Bungoma, is your MD here? Why is he? He is even scared of saying he's here. Imagine that. The MD, when the chair speaks, the MD cows. Because you might stand and then you ask, mbona umesimama wewe? Are we together? If your MD chairs, and this I'm talking to chairs because I know this is the only forum we get to meet annually. If your MD is living scared, decision making, every decision he makes is second guessed. Every opportunity to improve, he has to write 50 manuals, diagrams, for you to be convinced that they need smart meters. Then, friends, your Nandi Avenue water will always be a nightmare. So please empower your MD. Inspire confidence. Train based on knowledge, not by virtue of position. I could be a CS and with no idea about this what happens in water. Is it possible? Is it possible? But should that make me ineffective? Should it? I am not asking the chairs to be me. I am not asking the boards to be water engineers. I am asking you to just listen and attend such forums. Look at such presentations from other people. Maybe you think your MD is is playing games and see whether they conform to what the MD is telling you, and then support. I am calling for that support. This is an opportunity for all of us. It is not a problem. It is a challenge that can be surmounted. And finally, to our friends, the governors, good people, very interesting, good people, the chief heads of counties. The water service providers are supposed to be hata hiyo mnaogopa kuongea because two governors are sitting here. The water service providers are supposed to be semi? David, I hope you are aware of that. I know you just bragged politely and said Nakuru water was ranked as the best. He's saying those are not his problems. Yeah, amejipanga. It is okay. Semi-autonomous means the money raised, the resources raised, the billing done is meant to be retained at the water service provider. Does that happen 100%? They're saying yes and no, so I don't know which side. Does it happen 100%? Does it happen? Listen to the question. That's why you know sometimes we fail in school. Does it happen 100%? Does it happen 100%? There are yes and no's. To tell you, Irungu, when you sit with your colleagues, as the chair of natural resources, water, iyo maneno ingine yote, please remind them and help us as an institution. Please. If that is done, this non-revenue water, the volumetric meters would have been replaced by smart meters. Agreed? The old, dilapidated, leaking pipelines would be new pipelines. Correct? But where that actually happens, money is ring-fenced, then the problem now tags to the technical manager. And I gave a very sad example. Should I ask? I'm looking around to see whether we have the same people here. You ask a TM what is NRW, and they have no idea what that is. They call the assistant, no idea what that is. And then you wonder, can we fight a disease that we do not understand? And that's why I was very proud when we convened this conference. So that every TM, every assistant TM, every MD, every governor, even Alima and the ministry people can start appreciating what we are doing. That is my 5th point. And unless the TM, unless the teams understand the disease that we are fighting, then our fight will be in vain. And while I am serious, I will say it as it is. Because someone has to say it, and I'm also a practitioner of this craft. That is the truth. Knowledge is power. Acquire as much knowledge as possible. And then we are rolling out the performance for what? Resort programs. Whereby the modern funding is shifting from money implement to implement, document, show results, then reimbursement. Chairs, MDs, Tom made his clarion call. I am making mine. Understand that. Start understanding that. Otherwise, you will wonder why Nakuru is always ahead of you. You will wonder why Nyeri is always ahead of you. And as we say, a droning man shall clutch at a what? You start giving flimsy excuses because you have not grasped where the modern world is moving towards in funding. Please, if you have not grasped the bulk licensing that I've talked about, it is now in the Constitution. The amendment of the Water Act 2024. Look for it. 2 things changed. We licensed the agencies to become bulk water service providers, and we also allowed you now to do public-private partnerships. And many have not grasped what that means. We are playing catch-up, and that is not my interest. And if it is possible, Halima, let us be convening these people even virtually. 4 months, let's have a discussion so that everyone is informed of where the ministry is headed. The vision is clear in the ministry. The ministry is not short of policies. And we are moving at a frightening speed. But if you barricade yourself at that corner, in that cocoon yourself, then you will wonder what happened to your funding. Now we are talking about climate financing. Climate financing. We have prepared programs, and we have sat with our friends from the UN. And very good news is on the way. It is not my place to tell you today. That is another day. But are our counties aware of that line of funding? Blended financing is within us. I was very encouraged when I heard the fund managers say that they have how many trillion? 3 trillion. Even if they took 10% of that to divide amongst the economy in their investments, and out of that 10%, you know, she did not explain, that comes to 300. Then she said, even if you take 10% of that 10%, you come to, umeona hawakuelewa, where is the lady? Umeona hawakuelewa kitu? You have to be slow with these things. It takes time. That's why we don't tire of repeating. So the 30 billion she was talking about was a 10% over 10%. But how do you attract it? With a balance sheet, every day you are at the feet of the governor at the end of the month asking for incentives, asking for subsidies to pay salaries, asking for money for operations and maintenance. How do you attract that funding? There is no investor in this room who will put a penny in that water service provider. Investors, am I wrong? Because these are business people. They are holding money in trust of their customers. They are there to make this. It is not privatizing water, and it is not being prudent if they are to invest where they will make losses. And the last elephant in this room, as we part ways, is accountability. I am sure the reasons that Chair Bungoma was giving me are the reasons that he got from his team. Because there was a presentation somewhere. Oh, we were born unlucky. Our terrain is unlucky. We are purely 100% pumping scheme. You know how it goes, Governor. Wasreb is unfair. They don't like coming here. They fancy the town water service providers more. But no one will stand and tell Chair, for this to change, someone must take very difficult decisions. And that is what I call accountability in my books. You stand firm, and you stand for something. And you just ask to be given an opportunity to try it. And it is okay to try and fail. At least you stood for something. But your intention was clear. So instead of us giving reasons why it cannot be done, my call today is we should start giving reasons why it can be done. If you evaluate your agency, find out that you are lacking GIS, you don't have a proper engineer. I don't want to talk about that. Last time I talked about that, I got a lot of stick saying that mambo ni mingi. You know what they say, they don't mambo ni mingi. again giving me excuses of not being accountable. If you analyze and find out you are lacking in a certain skill, it is okay to ask for help. The ministry is at your disposal. This is our WASPA conference, correct? Am I not here? Is Halima not here? Are the agency CEOs not here? Was PS not here? So it means we are there to support and help. You cannot, the ministry cannot succeed if any of you fails. We are bound together for this ministry to be successful. You know, I would take a lot of pride by saying now I've reduced the water, Nile Revenue water to 15% in the entire country. Ni kweli? Ama you don't think we would like that? We would like that. Every sane manager would like that. But who are the actual implementers of that vision? You are the people sitting on this side. Ladies and gentlemen, I now want to declare this conference, Nile Revenue Water Conference, officially, I won't say closed, I will say officially open. And I stood here to set pace on the difficult conversations that Jaramba and his people should have without fear, because someone has to say it. You are the pioneers in the ministry, in the sector on matters water. We are the only people who can make a difference. Mama Mboga huko nje cannot make this difference. She is looking upon you to make that difference. But the question is, what are you doing about it? Asanteni sana. Mimi nileta salamu zangu, salamu za my friends and seniors, and say that whatever you need to reduce this, let us go full throttle. Aya, asante.
Sawa, tunaomba. Thank you so much for that, Waziri. I want to request that even the ambassador, you come on. There are some gifts you want to give. I'll ask the Acumen group, please come. They have some gifts that they want to give to the ambassador. Chairman WASPA, please come. And chairman of who was declared chairman on WhatsApp group, please also join us here. Chairman of chairman has forgotten that online business is now legal in Kenya. So if an election is done on WhatsApp, actually chairman is saying that you can have another. Yeah, and I'll ask Job Chichir, the chairman of WASREP, to also join us to represent the other chairpersons from the waterworks. Asante sana. Yeah, so Kevin, over to you. I don't know where is Blessed and the rest, were they? Yes, please come on board. So Kevin, you start with Waziri, the senior most. Yes. Yeah, that's a gift for you. Come again? Yeah, you have to declare that one. Yes, and then now to the ambassador. On behalf, thank you. And then to Job Chirchir, the chairman of WASREB representing Waterworks, all the sagas, sorry. And then to the chairman of chairman who was duly elected on WhatsApp. And then lastly to our chairman for WASPA. Is there anyone else I've left so that I keep my job? Yeah? Huh? Yeah, good. So, thank you so much. Waziri, you can sit. The second one is the county government. Asanteni. Thank you so much. So I'd like to request the county governor represented by the deputy governor to come, and our governor in charge of water also to come. Hey, Governor. By the way, to celebrate the many years that Governor Irungu has been with us, we are going to Laikipia for the last meeting bi-monthly in the month of July. So we are going to support him. Tumpigia Governor wetu makofi. Yes. So Kevin, you can give to Governor. Zawadi. This represents the county government. Thank you. And to the Deputy Governor. Thank you very much. Ngojeni kidogo, msiondoke. Kuna kakitu kadogo tu. Asanteni. Waswahili walisema kadi tamati, lakini tumefika. Asanteni nyote kwa uvumilivu wenu, utulivu wenu, ukakamavu wenu. Tuombea mnapoondoka siku ya leo, Mungu apatie heri, awaondolee sheri. Semeni amina. Na apatie uzuri na mazuri, na kama hamna mpate, na kama mnao muongezeke. Semeni amina. Na kama matafuta mupate, na kama hamjapata pia mupate, na mkipata zaidi iongezeke. Semeni amina. Bas. Sasa naomba hawa wangwana wako hapa mbele watoke hivi, kuna zawadi zao hapo. Alafu nyinyi pia tuna zawadi zenyu. This team has some gifts for you outside there. So they will split into two. Two will go this way and two others will go this way. Once they reach at the end, we will also follow them from behind, row by row. They have gifts for you right at the end. For only those who are, wait. Oh, yes, Waziri, please. Hawa wako hapa mbele, please. Aya, sasa sikizeni. Only those who are inside. If you are outside, you are not part of the gifting. Only those who are inside. Yes. There is a price to pay. Yes. Ngoje sijamaliza. Front row peke yake ndio waende. Tafadhali CC mbebe wa chairman wa chairman. Naona chairman na watu hapa, tafadhali mbebe. Na utafute MD, na MD pia uende na yeye. Oh, MD nimemwona ameenda. Haya, asanteni. So listen instructions. Follow instructions. Our international guests plus our guests will go this way. There's a place for you. Anyone who is seated inside, hapa, utatoka na kakitu. Lakini kama uko nje, hata yako wewe hauko. Kwa hivyo, we will start from the ones that are in front, finish with the ones that are at the back. So we'll start the rows here. Just go one by one like this.
Today being the first day of the Non-Revenue Water Management Conference 2026, and we are just getting started. We just had the first session there looking at public policy and governance, and remember, all this is geared towards reducing the non-revenue water in the country. But in the meantime, I just want you to get a feel of the exhibition area, because apart from the presentations in the main plenary, we have tens of exhibitors right here. We have hundreds of visitors that are right here to see the cutting-edge technology that is being displayed here by water companies and other key stakeholders. So have a look.
My name is Stephen Kanyinge. Welcome to Tile and Carpet booth. We are the largest manufacturing of HDP pipes, DWC pipes, and spiral pipes. We welcome you to our booth. Come see our innovation, and let's see how we can work together.
My name is Sam Otieno. I am the Business Development and Marketing Manager at Upstar Sacco. One of the key products that we'll be showcasing to our members is the online loan application process. We are automating the Sacco. We are digitizing most of our services. We are here welcoming our members to our stand.
My name is Willie Sombai. I'm the CEO of Water Sector Trust Fund. Our main role is to finance water, sanitation, and water resource management activities. Feel welcome to our booth today, where we will be showcasing what we are doing as an institution.
My name is Stephen Kanyinge. Welcome to Tile and Carpet booth. We are the largest manufacturing of HDP pipes, DWC pipes, and spiral pipes. We welcome you to our booth. Come see our innovation, and let's see how we can work together.
A very warm welcome here in Naivasha today.